The health is good. You're alive. All right. That's what it says. It says I'm live. I want to be in the control room. This is the control room here. But it's not dark enough, man. I'm going to have to go to the actual chat here to take a look at this. See how it's coming in. Hey. What's up? What's up, good people? I'm going to check my audio here. I got to put on my stereo. Impromptu live show. I wasn't able to get the live gaming stream functioning. There we go. I am working. I'm working. All right. Shut up. All right. There we go. All right. I wanted to do a game stream where it couldn't get the audio to function. It is remarkably complicated. I've done it before in the past. I had a whole bunch of game streams. But I have a new setup and something isn't working. You know how they change things up a lot. So I'll try to get that. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow night if I can. If not, I'll schedule it for next week. I probably have to get a particular, I was looking up on the internet, there's probably a particular splitter that I need that I don't have or I can't locate or whatever. So I might have to order that. Anyways, I digress. I'm digressing. But I kind of reluctantly was going to do that gaming stream. I don't really enjoy doing those types of games. I don't enjoy them. I really did not enjoy doing Deus Ex Mankind Divided. It wasn't just the wonky controls, but it was just how disturbing the whole thing is. And I wonder why people like that type of gaming so much. I look at some of these games and I'm just like, these things are so dark. They're so disturbing. Like, doesn't the average person just stop and think, like, my word, what's going on with these gaming corporations? I mean, like, how dark can you get? Everything is death. Everything's destruction and transhumanism and robots taking over and, complete dystopia all the time. And then you wonder why people like Nintendo. Because, and then there's that sort of thing where it's like, do you go to the movies? Like, would you ever go to see a movie about somebody dying of cancer? Probably wouldn't want to hang out with you. I mean, should there be movies about people dying? Maybe not. It's just kind of defeats the purpose because I think most time you go to a movie to get away and have fun. But of course, with the heavy levels of programming that's in all of our entertainment, it's not that. That's not what the people that are making this have in mind. Although they want to keep you in there and they want you to come back for more. But yeah, I find these games are heavy. They're really disturbing on multiple levels, and they're chock full of symbolism and programming, predictive programming, and then all the incoming sort of changes that are going to happen to humanity. The symbolism is everywhere. It's like the most common symbolism in gaming, without a doubt, like unquestionably, is the hexagon, the cube. It's like everywhere in gaming. Everywhere you look, you're going to see that symbol. It's like it's uncanny. I mean, it is because it's all part of what they're trying to do. But yeah, the gaming realm is pretty disturbing. I'm hearing a lot about this new whatchamacallit game with the guy from The Walking Dead. What's his name? Norman Reedus or something? You ever seen this guy? If you've been watching The Walking Dead, this guy's been around. He's been in the apocalypse for like a decade, and he hasn't got laid once. That's bad. I mean, what's the point? Like, seriously. Anyways, so what's up, good people? How you doing? I hope you're all doing well. I'm going to say hello to folks in the chat. Let's see who's there. Well, hopefully people didn't give up on me with the failed game stream. There's Chad Luigi saying Sniper Wolf is a shill. Mm-hmm. Hey, Innovation. Nice to see you, buddy. There's Rumford Chimpenstein. Nice to see you as well. Rick Rold and Manbear Pig, Daryl, Supernome, Furf, Remiddle, Uncool, Paranoia. Hey, everyone. I'm going to be always so far behind everything. Somebody keeps wanting to know my opinion on Owen Benjamin. He's an actor playing a role. It's that simple. It's not complicated at all. He's an actor. He's playing a role. What's his role? Oh, his role is to be a loudmouth anti-Semite on public forums, so that people like that sniveling little man girl. What's his name? What's that sniveling little that little creature? That
little guy there. Just don't take it.
Who's that guy? I can't even remember his name. But yeah, it's just so he can be the example, so that the late night talk show guys and Joe Rogan, whoever else, can come on and say, look at this guy, he's singing songs, he's making fun of the Jews, he's an anti-Semite, and he's a bad person and whatever. That's what he's there for. There's no way he's genuine, not even remotely genuine. Not even remotely. And if you think he is, then I don't know what to do for you, Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, the guy's an actor. He's working for the tribe. He's doing all these movies. And all of a sudden, just like that, he decides to throw his career away? Come on. And he's flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, flat earth, flat earth. Yeah, okay. Yeah, shill. There you go. So there's my opinion on Owen Benjamin. I put out 3 videos on him, which I will find, hopefully, and re-upload to BitChute, because that guy needs to be served. He has been served long ago. This was from last year that I put those out, and I called him out then. I don't want to make a thing about it, though, because it's a waste of my time. I'm not here to expose shill operations. All right, so just in case you expect me to do that type of work, no, I'm not doing that type of work. I'm not here to come and tell you this person, and that person are shills on ScrewTube. There's a lot of them. It's hard to know. The best thing that you can do is put your trust in people, if you're going to put your trust in people, that have a good track record and are not actors. Never trust an actor. That's all I can say. I don't know how to. I mean, this is actors act. That's what they do for a living. So, sorry, ain't no Benji fan by any means. And the characters that he brings on are major league shills that I've exposed before. So I mean, he's part of an operation. He's probably working for the EDL. Anyways, hopefully that settles that question. And yeah, the fact that Owen Benjamin is allowed on YouTube tells you all you need to know on whether he's a shill or not. Yeah. It's an operation. Cass Sunstein, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Red Ice Band, not sure about that. See, I don't know with Red Ice. Their Black Sun symbolism kind of creeps me. They were, as far as I know, they were conspiracy light up until about 2015. Then they became Trumpians. Like many of the Mark Schuldice, Paula Josephine Twatson, Alex Jones characters. And then they started becoming very vocal, pro-white. And again, you don't want to come against people that are standing up to the attacks on white folks, because we know who's responsible for that. But at the same time, I don't know. So I don't watch them. They're not a channel that I ever really watched. I cat snippets here and there, so I really don't know. I would be skeptical. That's what I would say. But I talked about them briefly in one of those Monday Madness shows that I did, because I did acknowledge that they got their channel taken down. And do I think it's right? No, of course not. Nobody should get their channel taken down. Unless you're putting up child pornography or you're ripping people off, you're committing a criminal act, you shouldn't get your channel taken down, right? You want to say, Donald Trump's an alien. You should be allowed to. They just put new laws in Canada, by the way. I haven't had a chance to cover this. There's a lot of things I haven't had a chance to cover. There's a ton of stuff that's on the back burner. They passed a new bill in Canada which makes it illegal to post incorrect information about politicians or to attack politicians. It's really crazy. So they're destroying freedom of speech, and they're using these things, to do it. So anyways, how do you know that Sniper Wolf is a shill? It doesn't matter what she is. She's just a useless, narcissistic, idiotic fruitcake. I mean, she has the intelligence of a dishcloth. Does it matter? I mean, why SS Sniper Wolf is a shill? Wow. She's just an airhead on YouTube. I mean, why would you waste your time watching her? You want to see fake tits? I mean, is she really that good looking? I see better looking girls every day. I don't know. I mean, she's pretty. I'm not gonna say she's ugly, but I don't like synthetic girls though. I don't like her at all. But what? I mean, what is she shilling for, anyways? It's not like she's all of a sudden become. I don't know. Maybe she has. Maybe all of a sudden she's putting out flat Earth stuff. I don't know. I don't pay attention. I do subscribe. So if you see with Supreme Lord Commander, you see I'm subscribed to probably well over 1,000 channels. And I sub all kinds of entertainment channels and video game channels and music channels and even children's channels to keep an eye on what the programming is. That's the whole purpose of doing having a channel like this. Is the whole purpose of Supreme Lord Commander was to examine the entertainment realm and how the entertainment realm is being used to program the masses. The other channels are supposed to be more about breaking down the psyops in the media, whereas this channel was designed to be the one to do, and again, the gaming and the movies and all that stuff. And that's pretty much what I've done with the channel for the most part. Okay, so anyways, so how much of the Canadian government is controlled by Freemasons? They have lodges in every single town. I don't know. Probably, how many Canadian politicians are shells of the NWO? That's a good question. Probably quite a few. You look at the Green Party, for instance. You look at the NDP. You look at the Liberals. You look at even the Conservatives, and you say, wow. They all seem to be on board with most of what is being, most of the objectives. The Canadian Council of Chief Executives. I don't think you could trust any politician. I mean, I think some of them get in, and they're brought into the whole thing, and they probably go through a process of learning the ropes and learning the reality to a certain extent of how things work. And then they realize that they're either going to toe the line or they're not going to get a pension. There's a nice juicy pension that you get if you become an MP, especially if you're able to stay for more than one term. I think it's 8 years, and then you got a lifetime pension, $120,000 a year. I don't know what it is, maybe $175,000 or something. It's something stupid like that. It's a lot of money, and so it's very easy to get these people once they get in. You see how excited they are once they get in because they know it. They got their ticket, right? So all I got to do is stay in term for a little while, and then they got that pension. So, doesn't mean everybody. I think a lot of these people are just useful idiots. Anyways, I'm way behind. Hope you're all doing well. Hey, we got 100 people here. Jeff, are you interested in real history? If so, have you heard of Tartaria? Not sure. Maybe you can refresh me there. Fart Schmelder? Love it. Love these names. What do we got here? I've been meaning to ask you this for a long time, but I've always forgotten to do so. At what point did you begin to see through lies? Was it a single event in particular or a snowball effect? Very good question, Eric. Thank you. Appreciate it. I always knew that you could never trust the media. Always. I always knew that television was mind control, more or less. Always. I'm talking about as a kid. Because I used to watch commercials, and I was like, why would people believe these commercials? Why would you go and buy something? What? Because the commercial told you? So I always was maybe a little bit more clever than the average Joe when it came to that stuff. But when I was in CEGEP, which is a precursor to university here, I took media courses, learned about media manipulation, learned about how, like, for instance, Hollywood movies are deeply deceptive and are full of lies, and they take historical movies and they just put their own agendas in them and all that. So I had very interesting classes in that, and then I've always been more or less when I was younger, I used to see the media and I'd be like, yeah, whatever. Wolf Blitzer, CNN, yeah, whatever. I wouldn't believe it at all. But I wasn't like a big time truther type person, and I wasn't out trying to expose all this bullshit. I just chose not to invest my energy in it. 9/11 was a big wake-up call. So 9/11 happened, and all I could think of from the moment 9/11 happened was there's no way that happened without, there's no way that the government wasn't involved. It's impossible. There's no way the most powerful country in the history of the world, and with the most powerful air force and the most powerful defenses and all that, could be attacked the way that they were. This has to be there has to be a plot, so that was the whole thing that kind of triggered the whole change. Anyways, so hopefully that answered your question. Jeff, has Canada had its election? Yes, it has. Justin Trudeau is coming back. He's going to have a minority party, so he's going to have to team up with other parties like the New Democratic Party, the Jagmeet Singhs, and others. It's kind of a strange federal, because like Quebec has got its own party, the Bloc Party, and then there's 3 other parties, and you can throw the Green Party in there. I think they only got 3 seats. So, but you have the Liberals, but they have they don't have a majority government, so they have to team up with other parties in order to pass things through. And the Conservatives will probably likely say, anyways. You know how the elections are. Selections. Jeff, you shouldn't risk putting all your work on this channel. It's better to make a new channel instead. Yeah, I agree. That's true. But then again, I do have a new channel, which is JeffC Live. So you might want to check that out. Also, Onyxia, nice to see you, by the way. Hope the birds are doing well. There is my BitChute. My BitChute channel is very important. So if you guys don't know about my BitChute channel, I think it's in the description below. Hopefully I put that in. Let me just check here for you. Nope. If you click on any of my other videos, though, it'll be there, and you can just go to my BitChute. If you don't have a BitChute membership, just bookmark the page, and that's where my more controversial videos will go. So I'm hoping I can keep this channel strike free, and then when Jeff Censored clears in a couple months, I'll go back to that channel, and then I'll keep using this one to do those entertainment, gaming, movies, and breakdown sort of thing. So, yeah. What do we got here? Curious to hear how you guys got red pilled too in the comments. Okay, that's cool. What's your thoughts on HC saying Tulsi and Jill Stein may be assets of, I think she might actually be telling the truth. HC? Just ring my bell there for a second, Tommy. I appreciate it. HC, I'm trying to think who that is. There are assets, of course they are. Jeff, has Canada yeah, we saw that one. Tulsi is too good to be true. She must be a psyop. Yeah, it's pretty much, that's the way it is. They're really a huge focus on truth and woke and all this red pill. All these things have been incorporated by the corporate media, the Disney media. So the expression woke is everywhere these days. People are woke if they become critics of Game of Thrones, for instance. Oh, these are woke people. They woke to the reality that Game of Thrones is, been changed from the books and got for the worse or something like that. You see what I mean? Is they take these terms that are synonymous with the truth movement, and then they incorporate them in the corporate media. The truth, again, truth has been redefined. Fake news, of course. All these things are weapons. In fact, it's really being such a huge thorn in the side of the corporate media that it forced them to come up with all these Pizzagates and Flat Earths and all these operations to take control of the truth movement and then reconstruct it into something different. So, like, there is a whole new movement of characters that popped up as anti-flat earthers. It's quite hilarious. It's like they all like to pat each other on the back because they're making fun and exposing how stupid the flat earthers are. And none of them would have a purpose if it weren't for the flat earth operation. And that's how it kind of works. So a lot of shills in the pot. Anyways, don't talk about flat earth. Let's see here. What do you think that Yang guy running for president? Is he independent or controlled by Zionist Jews? Not too sure, but it's pretty hard. It would be almost impossible at this point to, at least in the West, to become, because everyone's a puppet, right? You got to realize that it doesn't mean that everyone starts out that way, and some people, it's a matter of getting to a certain point, and then they're brought in, right? They're brought into the reality of the control system, and then they're given the deal that they can't refuse, sort of thing. But once you get up to a high position and you're going to have a position of power and influence and all that, it's unlikely that you're not going to be incorporated by that point in time. So that's just my opinion. Anyways, here Adaptus Astartes says, Hollywood just announced a female reboot of Zorro with the complete failure of the new Terminator film. Do you think they're going to stop forcing woke politics into movies? No. They will continue to do them because they figure that before long that people will get over the whole, the SJW politics injected into these movies. If they keep churning them out and people still keep going and seeing these movies. Now you could say the Terminator one's probably not doing so well. I don't know much about the film, but you have what appears to be a transhumanist sort of female lead character who is the main muscle of the show. So again, the reversal of the roles and all that. I'll try to catch it at some point and give you my opinion on it. But no, I don't think they will at all. But they'll find ways to navigate around all the criticism of it, because they control that too, right? So they put out a movie like the female Ghostbusters is a good example. Like they put that out, it gets panned by pretty much everyone, but they can still use it as a vehicle. They can still use it, and then they can say, look at how women were treated. Look at how when you take men and you put them in a movie like that, everybody loves it and all that, but then when you put women in the same role, everyone rejects it and hates it. And this is because of the patriarchy, and they can spin it in a million different ways. Eventually what could happen is that it's called Ghostbusters. Think about this. I haven't seen the reboot Ghostbusters with the females, right? The four, I don't know if they're dykes or what, four women, whatever. I haven't seen it, but eventually it could be that they just erase the original, and then you just have that one. And a few generations down the road, people may not even remember the original, because a new generation will grow up with the new one. And a lot of girls will grow up empowered by those female characters and stuff like that. They can do stuff like that. Talk about the Kindle and the Fire, right? Where they're going to rewrite all our history, all their books, to eliminate the gender bias and all those things, right? And that's the reality, is that if you're going to grow up in this new system, that's what you're going to grow up with. So a kid today, they go to the video, there's no video store, but they if they're going to watch, say, Ghostbusters, they're probably going to watch the new one, not realizing that there was an original one, right? And that's the whole thing. It's changing everything, like going back and erasing things from history. So and again, with the Ghostbusters, is full of satanic sort of symbolism and all that too. It's anyways, I don't want to get lost on that. I lost that. Let's see, where am I? I'm so far behind, I get lost here. Hollywood just announced a female reboot of Zorro. Okay, I answered that one. Hey Jeff, do you support law enforcement? That's a funny question. Law enforcement. Well, I mean, what? You support law enforcement. Do I support justice? Yes, but then you have to define what justice is, and then it's an individual thing, right? So law enforcement, right? Well, so law enforcement, it depends what the law is. Depends who's enforcing it. Depends who's written the laws, right? Law enforcement. Anyways, I don't know. Are you gonna do let's see here. I remember back the commercials, so much more MTV back in the day. They really wanted kids to get programmed. Hey Jeff, love all your content, and I found you through KJ. You say you can't trust the media. and the schooling system. So why do you believe in the healing? I love it. I knew it was in there. Flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. Please, flat Earth is an operation. What does that mean? You have to trust everything. It's an operation. So, Anyways, I'll leave it at that because you started off really great, and then you threw that in. Psyops are thrown out there to control people and to push people. Flat Earth is an operation that's there to destroy the truth movement because it wants people to associate truthers with people that have no intelligence, basically. So it's a sophisticated operation employing many people. There are people that are paid big money to be daily doing flat Earth things. I exposed this years back when it all came out, so I know where it came from. It's not like when you ask me something like that, you're talking to an expert on psyops. I was the one who exposed the flat Earth psyop way back in 2015, way back. Go back and watch the podcast here on Supreme Lord Commander. It's still there. It's one of the only We'll Do It lives that's still around where I broke down the whole thing. Anyways, I get caught up there. Jeff, do you think about gematria? What is your opinion, Zach? Don't think of gematria too much. That's all. I don't. It's not my thing. Numbers can be. There's only 9 numbers more or less. If you eliminate zeros, and you can mix them and subtract them, and add them, and come up with all these different things. So there's a numbers game. I'm not saying that there isn't any truth to gematria. There is, for sure. I just don't waste my time with that. With all due respect to the people that do. It's just not my thing. So, no comment other than that. That's all I can say. Thank you for the info. Yes, you're welcome. Sup with your name seems like mockery. Yeah, it is. Supreme Lord Commander is a joke. It's because when all the way back when I was involved in the thing called drama. If you know what drama is, it's the worst possible thing that you can get involved in. I never get involved in drama, ever. But I was involved in drama back then. I was one of the big channels on YouTube. I had a channel called Free Radio Revolution. And it got they all got wiped out, right? But it was a big thing. I had lots and lots of subscribers and views and all that. And when that all kind of fell apart, the operations that were aligned against me tried to paint me as a narcissist and an egocentric person and stuff like. They were doing anything they could to try to swell my reputation. So I made the channel Supreme Lord Commander as a joke because that's kind of what they were calling me at the time. He's the leader, supreme leader of the truth movement and stuff like that. It's just a joke. That's all it is. I'm not here to tell you I'm the Supreme Lord Commander of anything. I'm the Supreme Lord Commander of this channel. I like the name though. I think it's a cool name, but I don't, that's as far as it goes. Jeff, do you ever want to become a U.S. citizen? I could become a dual citizen. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. What was this? JeffC, what do you think of call for an uprising? Well, he's a friend of mine. So, the Rothschild and Vatican control the whole world. Not all. No, there's more than that. There's China as well. There's many other factors, but yeah, they're pretty powerful. There's Tears. Hi, nice to see you. Debate of flat Earth. Yeah, kind of. I answered that. Supreme Lord Commander. Jeff, what is the future? Hey, the name Supreme Lord Commander is from the Protocols of Science. Is it? Get the frick out of here. There's no way that is. I would laugh so hard if that was true, though. Then I'd probably have to think, I better change it then. No. Anyways, it's not a big deal anyways. What is the future of white men in Canada? Will they engineer a violent uprising against us, or are they going to try to dilute us into irrelevance with immigration? Yeah, probably the latter. I think that it's 70% white people in Canada, I think. I'm taking a stab. I know it's roughly around there. And they want white people to hate themselves, and they want white people to think that they're privileged, which is nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Now, racism does exist. I live in Montreal, and yes, when it comes to blacks and it comes to Anglophones, it's clear. I mean, there's a huge difference in employment and all that. People with university degrees, blacks, it's like 25% unemployment. Anglophones is like 17% or something unemployment, and with francophones it's like less than 1% or something like that. So and then with white people, I mean, all over Canada, most people that settled, like for instance in Newfoundland, right? Most of the fisher, the Newfoundland was very poor. It still is to a certain extent. But these are all just white people, and they were working the hardest jobs. I mean, people coming from Ireland, coming from Scotland, coming from England. There's no privilege. There's no privilege whatsoever. There's none, not an inch, nothing. And it doesn't mean that when black people start coming in and other people's, Muslims and stuff coming into countries, that there isn't some racism, that there isn't some inequalities, but you can't go and blame. It's like me going to Africa and saying, you guys, your problem is you guys are all black centric. You're all pro black, and I'm white, and I'm oppressed. I mean, it's ludicrous. You don't go to a country that's like the huge majority is a certain color and tell them that they're privileged. It's stupid. But that's who controls this, right? That explains it. Divide and conquer. It's terrible. It's awful. Right? It's awful what they're doing. Anyways, Jeff, what is the future white man? Okay, I answered that one. Where are we here? I was looking at your videos on Penguin Zoo and was blown away with the insane amount of shills they put on that video. First shill comment had 400. Looking on your video on Penguin Zoo and had first shill comment had 400 upvotes. Yeah. Actually, they invited me to come on the show, and they were inviting me over and over again. I had no idea because they were leaving all these messages on that video, and then I only found them like a month later. And so I sent them a message. I said, okay, I'll come on, but they never really got back to me at that point. But I would have gone on their podcast there. I thought that would be cool if they had me on because I don't know. Maybe, I actually don't think Penguin Zoo is, I think he's just kind of there and he's doing his thing and he's been there for so long that he's got a huge following, but I don't necessarily think he's like some Zionist shill or something like that, or, New World Order, shill or something. He just might be a useful idiot, right? That is so indoctrinated into the New World Order sort of way of life that he doesn't realize that some of his content is actually harmful to people. And that's what I was trying to point out. But I think discussion is good. And I think that if I was to go on a podcast with those folks, I would be able to explain what my point of view is for his behavior in that particular video. But I didn't expect to have the blowback that happened. I didn't even know. I had no idea. When I made the video, I forget. I put up a video. I kind of forget about it. I move on. And then like months or a month later, I went back and there was all these comments. And it was like, I had no idea. It was like all these thumbs down. It was like ludicrous. But it doesn't bother me at all because I believe what I was saying was very true. I was pointing out that he was promoting the normalization of porn consumption, and that is very harmful for young folk, and anyways, so yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Innovation, Supreme Lord Jeff, are they converting hotels into refugee centers in Montreal like they are in Toronto? They convert stadiums here. Stadiums. The Olympic Stadium was used a couple of years ago. It was nuts. But yeah, they are. And they're using our taxpayer dollars to do it. And then if you complain, you'll get manhandled by Justin Trudeau's bodyguards, like that old French lady. She said, "Are you going to reimburse us for the $120 million you spent?" And, "Madam, we do not accept that type of racism here in Canada. Only here we're very diverse and inclusive, and we do not accept that." It's like telling people that have been here for umpteen generations that they're not Canadians and they don't have a right to say anything. Anyways, number one rule of Flat Earth: don't talk about Flat Earth. Man, bear, pigs, got it. Best, yeah. I wish I could thumb that up. So it's true that Paula Josephine Watson used to clean toilets for a living? If so, that's a lot more honorable than what he's doing. Yeah. He might as well be licking toilets with what he's doing. But that's what he is. You know. MI6, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely an intelligence asset, and he's playing a role. And he got called out big time years back. We used to expose him and Jones and Dice and all those guys. But I was talking to a Chinese worker at our farm. He says the ghost cities are unbelievable, massive amounts of empty skyscrapers, nobody living in them. There will be. Yeah, it's crazy. And all the cities it's madness. It's all happening. We everything that we showed back in 2012. We used to do shows on this. We're exposing it. It's all coming to fruition. They're building them in Africa as well. Yeah. They still have millions of farmers to take out in China. That they're going to go into all these places and do the same sort of model. Hit people with massive storms and shit like that. And just make it so difficult for them to eke out an existence outside of their control centers. And they're just going to funnel everybody into their massive megalopolises. And we're all going to be on, we're going to get those bikes, those electric bicycles that and those little green scooters that pop up everywhere. When a channel has more than 20,000 subs, they become suspect. Yeah, but no. People used to say that about me when I had Free Radio Revolution. So, I remember people used to say that there's no way that I could be legit because I had so many subs. And then, and then you're like, well, fuck. No, that's not necessarily true. It's not. It's just, you should be skeptical, but you should apply that evenly to any channel, because you could have 20 subs and you could be a shell, right? Or you can have 20,000 and be legit, or vice versa, right? But yeah, I mean, it typically, if something has millions of subs, well, and then they're doing a certain thing, then probably, there's something to be concerned about. Anyways, I hope I got that okay. Woke is merely a diluted state of mind to red pilled, and I'm done with pills. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, don't take any of the pills. I mean, you don't take the blue pill, you don't take the red pill, you don't take any pill. You don't take the black pill, don't take the purple pill, don't take the rainbow pill, right? They want you to take pills. I mean, the whole metaphor, the whole symbolism of taking the pill is to medicate yourself with their products, right? That's very important to point out. And the people that gave you the red pill, the Wachowski brothers, are now sisters. That's all you need to say. I mean, you think the Matrix was trying to wake you up? Huh? Sorry. Anyways. Yeah. Let's see here. Hey, Jeff, do you believe in the helios? There we go. Gotta let that go. Sorry, I'm not going to take flat earth. I have already discussed what flat earth is, and no offense to people. If you believe in the flat earth, that's fine. There's no reason to unsubscribe from me, but don't expect me to mirror your beliefs at all. So, and I've covered that a gazillion times over the years, so no point. That thing people do on social media where they put animal features overlaid on their faces is annoying. If I see someone doing that, I assume that they are pretty heavily NWO mind control. Yeah, that's all part of trans species selfie, right? Also surveillance state. Facial ID, all those things, right? They mix all these things together. They get you addicted to yourself. This is selfie culture. This is all a deconstruction of the family, putting yourself first. You are the best. You're the greatest thing ever. No, you're not. Nobody is. Get the frig out of town. And somebody that is would never say they are, because they would hopefully be humble enough to understand that we're all just humans, and that to have that type of pride is toxic. So this selfie sort of, and this narcissism that they push along with the nihilism on top of it, is very destructive. And it's all to deconstruct the family. It's all to make it that everything about you is the best thing ever. And it's evil, really, because if you're brought up properly, hopefully you're brought up being taught that it's what you do and how you treat others that makes you valid and special, right? It's not how you go about saying how great you are, because people that do that are terrible. Come on, universally, people that do that are terrible. I'm the greatest ever, shut the hell up, And maybe if you're like the greatest kickboxer or you're the greatest, race car driver or you're something like that, maybe then you could do that. You like Conor McGregor, for instance, who is a classic narcissist, right? But because he's successful and because he's been a champion, he walked the walk, so he can talk the talk. Does that make him a butthole? Yeah, absolutely, he's a butthole. I would tell that guy, whatever, I mean, like, get the hell out of town. You're full of crap. But because he's been successful, he can at least can back up some of what he says. Like you say, I'm the best. I'm the best. I'm the best ever. I'm the best in the world. Well, there's a lot of other fighters that could probably beat the snot out of Conor McDavid at this point in time. But at least at one point in time, he was a champion. So for him to say it, for any one of us to say it is bad. But for him to say it, at least he had accomplishments. So it's better, though. It's far better and far more mature for anyone to work really hard and become really good at something, but not go around with that attitude like I'm the best. Because, I really don't think that's flattering for anybody. I think it's negative. Although you want to have some pride, right? It's the whole thing about balancing the ego, right? It's very important for any human being, is to have that balance and not to succumb to the ego and allow the ego to take over, sort of thing. Anyways, let's see here. Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Where are we? Fall right behind. Google, Amazon, Microsoft would pay tens of millions of dollars to sponsor a live stream of the Earth from space, but here we go. Stop. Charles Darwin married his first cousin, had 3 kids, died likely because of being inbred. What do we got here? I don't know. Some of these are not, to me. It's better. Yeah, it's good if you can kind of put my name as Supreme Lord Commander, because then it lights up. But then if you got flat Earth stuff, I'm not going to. I'm respectful for people. People should have their own beliefs. Doesn't mean I believe something that you should believe it too. But I'm not going to believe what you want to believe when it comes to those things, and I'm not going to discuss them because they're operations. That's my belief. So that's why I don't bother asking those questions, because they're not going to get the answer that you want. I'm just going to ignore them. But ask me something else. Anybody in the movement with over 500,000 subs is automatically suspect. Yeah, but some people have been around for a long time. Some, like KJ Osborne, for instance, has been around for a long time. Dabu7's been around for a long time. Well, he's been around for about the same amount of time I have. Some people have been around for a long time. Doesn't mean that they're shills. Sometimes it's just the approach that may have sheltered them from the same type of censorship that people like me have gotten. So I don't go around with that attitude. But then again, I mean, there's not too many truther channels that have over 500,000, really. I can't really think of too many. I can think of a few. It's Stranger Than Fiction, right? There's not too many that have that. But I don't really pay attention to the truther realm anyway. So I don't really watch truther. I watch my friends' videos when I have time. And, people I like and respect and I think do good work. That's it. And then I watch all the corporate media and all that, because I don't have time to watch all these different people putting out, truther type people. There are probably a ton of good people that I just don't get to see, right? So, got to make your own. You got to use your own discernment, make your own judgment on those things. Pride is one of the 7 deadly sins, yet they push it. Kids, yes, it's the worst of the 7 deadly sins. I can like someone without trusting them. I like Call for an Uprising, Owen Benjamin, Supreme Lord Commander, but I don't really trust any of you. Okay, that's fair. Nobody's here. Like, I'm not here to tell you who to like. If you ask me about somebody, I could take the approach. I don't have anything nice to say. I'm not going to say anything at all. But I've obviously exposed Owen Benjamin before. So, I'm not going to go back on what I said then. Now, unless he's done extraordinary things to change my mind, which he hasn't. Not as far as I've seen. So I just think he's an actor playing a role. That's just my opinion. But that doesn't have to be your opinion. You can, and then you can still be, you could still follow a bunch of people and say, I'm not so sure about this person, or I like this person, but I'm not sure. That's okay. That's fine. You don't have to, even some people I like, I'm not sure about, I don't know 100%. I'm not going to tell you 100%. Let's see here. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, is as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. Yes, and I agree. I've been showing for years and years and years how they've been promoting alcohol and drugs and everything else and normalizing that behavior. And I've never, ever encouraged that behavior, ever. I did one show where I actually got inebriated, which was a New Year's Eve show, which I think is excusable because it's New Year's. But I've always said to folks, never, ever allow yourself to get wasted. When we were doing We'll Do It Live, there were all these shows that sprung up out of that show. So many people were influenced by it. And some of these shows were just terrible, where people would just get and they smoke pot and they drink and they just act like retards. And it was like, what are you doing, I don't know. If you want to have a show where you're getting wasted and getting stoned and all that, that's fine. I mean, there's the Drunken Peasants. There's Deep Fat Fried. They're terrible shows. They're terrible people. I mean, they're terrible in every way. I've told TJ Frank he's a terrible person. I've told the other Drunken Peasants that they're terrible people. They're terrible people. You look like terrible people. You look like fat, ugly, useless slugs. And that's what you are. Those people are terrible people. They have terrible shows. They have terrible personalities. And they attract terrible people. And they are pushing all the worst things. Smoke weed all the time. Right? Get wasted. Just act like a moron. Right? Oh, get fat. Eat whatever you want. No, those are all terrible things. And none of us, I mean, again, I'm not against people doing that because I believe in free speech and I believe in, free enterprise capitalism and but then again, I mean, why is it shows like mine that are always being censored and shows like that are allowed to make money and sell t-shirts and all that crap? Well, it's because they're not a threat and they're doing exactly what they want them to do, which is condition more people into slovenly lifestyles, into narcissism, into self-pity and, anyways, all that nasty stuff. I hate those guys, by the way. You can tell them anytime you want. They know. Are you a status? Do you support law enforcement? There we go. Jared's back. No. God, law enforcement. I mean, somebody breaks down your door, you're going to call the police. So, I mean, you're going to support law enforcement. Yeah, you got to sometimes. You can't. Right? I mean, it's not black and white. It's not like we got to get rid of law, I mean, you get rid of law, you're going to have anarchy. Now, that could work, but chances are most people are not ready for it, and it would be a bad transition. So I'm not a status by any stretch of the imagination, and I would definitely be way more in favor of anarchy and more of a, well, not, I have to define anarchy, but I'd be way more in favor of an anarchist sort of lifestyle. Right, where you communities come together and take care of each other and all that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, for sure. But look at the society we're in. I'm not gonna all of a sudden get rid of police forces and government and all that. Although I would love to. So I think governments are more or less horribly bloated, terrible, bureaucratic. Monstrosities that are sucking the life out of civilization and that are entering into every element of our daily lives. I think it's a horrible encroachment. So, but then again, as I said, somebody breaks down your door. I mean, somebody comes to your home to steal or rape your daughter or something like that. You're gonna call the cops. I mean, you're not gonna. So it's a little bit more complicated, but hopefully that answers it. experience could be summed up in two phrases. We are all stardust or something. Two, we are all either audience member or a performer. Well, you can be both. Sometimes I'm an audience member and sometimes I'm a performer. A lot of times I watch shows, like I watch KAJ Osborne's show, or I watch, other people's shows that might be on. Sometimes I watch people's music shows and stuff like that. But then sometimes I'm doing my own show. So you don't have to be a leader or a follower. You can be both. You can lead sometimes and follow some other times. But yeah, there are type A and type B and all that. Did you know there's a website called the Purple Store and every single thing they sell is purple? No, I didn't know that. But if you ask me that, you say, "Hey Jeff, do you think there's a Purple Store and everything's purple?" I'd probably say yeah for sure. Now where are we? I really apologize if you asked me something and I missed it. It's very difficult to keep up, and I do tend to try to answer questions properly. What I think of the fires in California, I think a lot of them are orchestrated. Yeah, for sure. I think they're burning people out. Jenna 21, that's what I think. I talk about it all the time. It's very controversial what I say, and I have no facts to back it up other than knowing that they have the technology to do a lot of these things. But that doesn't make it so. That's just my opinion. So, but yeah, I'm very concerned about that. Supreme, do you have an opinion on Trump being a puppet of the New World Order? NWO movement befriending China, Japan, first president in over 40 years to set foot in China. Well, it's all one world. China is very much in line with the New World Order, unfortunately. So, and Japan is a major place for the New World Order. Japan has a huge history, especially since World War II. The Marshall Plan. The Americans largely helped rebuild Japan, so they have a huge influence on Japan. So, no, I'm not surprised at all. A lot of this is just posturing, and a lot of it's just theatrics for the public. I think most of us are kept well away from the real truths about how nations negotiate with each other and, the grander elements of the New World Order. But then again, we don't want to have World War III break out. But then again, how much of World War II and World War I was orchestrated and controlled, right? People would point to the Rothschilds, for instance, of being the major players and creating wars like that. So those are bigger questions. Anyways. What would you say to PK22 today for stabbing you in the back during the transit? I gave up. You know what? I have nothing against PK. I, as far as I know, I buried the hatchet with PK a long time ago, and that's all cool. So, I hope PK is doing well. There you go. So you can tell him that. Hey, JeffC, instead of preaching to the choir, why are we not focusing on building communities to the select few that understand these things? That's a good question. Very good question. You can and you should. But it's going to be difficult because, if you build these communities, they will come. If you build it, he will come. Well, if you build it, they will come. Right? Meaning that if you build a successful community of like-minded people and it starts to grow and starts to become influential, it will be infiltrated, undoubtedly, because that's the way the New World Order works. Doesn't mean you shouldn't try. Doesn't mean that it's not a good idea. I agree, and I look to do that myself. So it's just we have to be wary of how things are infiltrated. But yeah, I do agree with the notion that like instead of, let's try to wake everybody up. My job, what I do, like I used to take the approach, say prior to 2015, I used to take the approach, gotta wake up as many people as possible, gotta wake up as many people as possible, gotta try to get this information, get it across, wake up people. Then I've shifted because I realize that it's a little bit more complicated than that. It's very difficult, and sometimes you're try too hard, and also a lot of people don't want to be woken up. So now my approach is I'm just doing what I do. I'm exposing what I see. I'm showing the world my viewpoint on what's happening, and then you can take it or leave it, right? You can come in and you can say, that's really good information that you're providing, and I really appreciate what you're doing. Or you can come in, and take a different approach. I'm not here to lead the charge, be the tip of the spear, or anything like that, or to tell people how to carry things out. I just look at the approach as, this is what I do. Like, I see these things, and the best thing that I can do at this point in time is just show people what I see and allow people to take their own steps after that. So, be an influencer without being a preacher, and try to put out good information. And then whatever happens with the good information once it's put out there, that you can't control. But you can control what content you put out. So it's not like I'm not here trying to save the world. I'm here, and I do agree again with, okay, a lot of people would be like, no, we're never going to wake people up. Maybe we should just form our own communities and just turn our backs on the sheeple and stuff like that. And yeah, I understand that, and there is validity to that, and that could be debated, and that could be a way forward as well. I still look at it like, try to plant as many seeds as you can, try to be the change. So that's what I try to do. Be the change you want to see. Be the change you want to see. Try to show people the way, and then maybe, give some good influence, and maybe plant some good seeds, and then maybe out of that, good things come. So you have to do things, though, to influence change. And since there's almost impossibility about influencing change through the political system, which is completely controlled, I don't see the point of going through their game to try to fix their game, right? And people have always said that, oh, go into politics, do this. Yeah, right, whatever, right? I mean, that's the circus. They control the circus. So, do what you can, and then let the chips fall where they may, sort of thing. Anyways, thanks for the questions. I like a lot of these questions. There's some really good ones here. And question, do you know that the Soviet Union had a tax on childlessness? Wow. The Soviet Union was evil and messed up, but at least they had the brains to not promote the suicidal LGBT agenda. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, strong sort of Orthodox Christian, in there, mixed in, you can say, with other elements as well. But yeah, that is interesting. It's interesting that Russia is still not 100% on board. Russia is still trying to encourage people to have babies. But Russia is NWO as well. So, I just think that, they have such a huge country, and they're concerned about their shrinking population, and the fact that the Soviet Union had a much bigger population than Russia currently does, and a much bigger geopolitical sort of realm. So they try maybe now to encourage more and more Russians. But, ideally, all countries should be proud of their heritage, and proud of the people that built the country. So you can be Canadian, you can be proud, say, of Aboriginal peoples and their contributions, and their ways of life and art and everything. But you should also be proud of white people. And all their work and accomplishments. You can't, it's ludicrous. It's ludicrous to come in and say, oh, we got to change everything, and you gotta, say whites are terrible and all that crap. It's just nuts. It's nuts. And there's no way that you can promote immigration. And again, I say I'm not against immigration. I'm in favor of good immigration, where you're bringing in good people. Right? These are good doctors, people that have, scientists, nurses, teachers, people that can come into our countries and immediately start helping make the economy stronger, make the country stronger. I'm all in favor of that. I don't care where you're from. I don't care. I mean, I don't care if you're purple. I don't care what color you are. It wouldn't make a difference to me. I mean, I know people of all where I am in Montreal, it's ultra multicultural. Ultra. I'm like a minority walking around in my neighborhood. It wasn't like that 5-10 years ago. It's now very different. I'm not against it. I don't go around. I treat everyone the same. I don't care if you're Muslim or you're, African or you're white or whatever. I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me. People are people. That's the way I look at it. But the reality is that certain peoples are told that they're not allowed to have pride and they're not allowed, and and all that. So yeah, it's awful. Anyways. What are your thoughts on Jason Cohn's channel, No White Guilt? He has a book called Going Free, which you should check out. Hey, Polygon, thanks for the question. Not familiar with him. So maybe one thing you could do, if you want me to check him out, you could maybe leave a comment in the comment section below and leave a link, and I'll go and check him out. Thanks for that. He promotes white well-being, uses dialectics that help people come out of the brainwashing. Good for him. Sounds like somebody I would agree with. Here's Imagine saying, hey, Jeff. Hi, Jeff. Been following you since 2012. Can you please make 2 videos where you go in depth on Agenda 21 and 2030? Explain every point, agenda per video, so we can show people. Yeah. I've done that several times, I believe, in the past. I know I've done Agenda 21 so many times and Agenda 2030, but they're the same, by the way. Agenda 2030 is just the goals that they hope to achieve by the year 2030. Agenda 21 is the agenda for the 21st century. So Agenda 21 is the big one. And Agenda 2030, there'll be an Agenda 2050 or an Agenda 2040 right after Agenda 2030. So when Agenda 2030 comes around, there'll be an agenda right after that. That will be for the next 20 years, say. But Agenda 21 is the big one because it's the 21st century. And it's huge. It's huge. I mean, you can look at the 17 points that they have on their page, and it's disturbing enough to look at the Agenda 2030 points, which involve, of course, all different elements of society, from water to food production and distribution, to genders, right, to immigration, to of course, right? Of course, feminist, right? Feminism, and all these things. So, to education. So it's every element of society that they aim to take control of. They're taking control of every element of society and energy, right? Forcing all municipalities and regions to adopt green energy, right? All these things. So it's every element of society, basically. I can't think of anything that they don't want to stick their fingers in. And it's all the biggest things. So the biggest things are the education, right? It's one of the biggest things. Energy is one of the biggest things in any civilization. Women, right? It's half the population, or at least it was up until recently. Now with all the gender confusion. These things are huge, and they're all encompassing, and they want to globalize everything. So it's terrifying, because it's like, okay, it sounds nice on the surface. It always sounds nice on the surface. Oh, we need to plant more trees. Yeah, that sounds great. But, and then you see who's behind it and what their real objectives are. Anyways, thanks for the request there. I appreciate it. I'll keep it in mind. One of these days, Disney will get a tranny mobile ride. They probably already do. Agree with the degeneracy thing too, and they promote it in a subtle way, and use comedy to say that we aren't too serious, but they are. Yes, Tommy, great point. There's the non sequitur show. Isn't that thing like done? Those jokers. You want to talk shills? Steve McRae and that other turd. Those guys were jokers. Nothing good to say about those guys, I'll tell you that. Have you ever thought about making a music channel? I know you're a talented musician, and it would be great if your music... Yes, absolutely. Well, I'd probably, Eric, be selling a lot of music in the future off of Supreme Lord Commander. Once I can get, hopefully, Jeff Censored back, and then I can take Supreme Lord Commander and make it a multi-purpose entertainment slash, channel where I'm going to release a bunch of music videos, which you'll be able to buy the music really cheap. I mean, for patrons of a certain amount, they'll get it for free. But I'll make it so that I'll make music videos on the themes of the New World Order, and I'll make it so that you can buy the song if you want. And it'll be like $1. It'll be as cheap as it can be, basically, right? And then you'll be helping me out. So that's all coming up real soon, hopefully. And that's why I hope to get Jeff Censored back and make that the main channel for this type of work, and then revert Supreme Lord Commander to doing the entertainment. And so I do movie reviews, but they're not the typical movie reviews, right? Like my Halloween movie review. Like, you can watch 100 different reviews. You can watch Chris Stuckman and Jeremy John or Janes or whatever that dirtball is, and all these other clowns. I mean, some of them are good, some of them are... You can watch all these different sort of breakdowns of movies and maybe get something out of some of them. Most of them will have the same thing. Oh, I like the movie. It has good pacing. You're not going to get that with me. You're going to get what I believe the film is really about and the agendas that are being pushed through it. So if you haven't seen my breakdown of the 2018 Halloween, that's an example of the type of work I look to do in the future on Supreme Lord Commander. So, yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Yes, I'm a musician. I play multiple instruments. Do you think there's going to be a global financial crash soon? Say if the Deutsche Bank collapses. If so, do you think any media will blame populism and distrust of authority? Well, I think that inevitably there'll be that big crash because of the giant derivatives scam, and right. But the economy is so huge, though. This is the whole thing. It's so huge, the world economy, that the too big to fail banks, like this is what we had back in 2008, which was a coup d'etat in a certain way of the financial district, where certain banks were done and other banks kind of took over. Goldman Sachs and co., right? Bear Stearns was wiped out and others. Yeah, I think that they'll orchestrate another collapse when the time is right for them to do so. And they do this, it's an accordion. The way to think of the Federal Reserve and the Bank of England is they squeeze us and then they ease. They squeeze and then they ease. They squeeze and then they ease. They do this all the time. It's like the gas station's a good sort of analogy of that. Gas station prices that go up and down and up and down. Oh, there's some fighting in the Middle East. Well, we can put the gas prices up. Oh, there was a tanker that we'll put the gas prices up. Right? And then they'll lower them and they'll put them up because they know they can't keep them up too high for too long, because then people start to lose their minds because they can't afford anything. So they have to keep it balanced to keep the whole thing flowing. It's a big machine that they got to keep flowing. I don't like the doom financial guys that have been around forever, and they've been saying this since 2008, that it's going to collapse tomorrow. It's going to collapse tomorrow. It's going to collapse tomorrow. And I can't tell you how many of these guys have been doing this. And it's a pump and dump type of. But I'm not. That's not my realm. I'm not an economics guy at all. I don't really. It's not my thing. I don't really care. But I do understand the importance of it, because I understand that we all depend on a functioning economy. I mean, it's so essential. So the last thing in the world I want to see is an economic collapse. But what we had in 2008 is just a taste of likely what's to come in the future. So, yeah, I mean, but when is it going to happen? It's hard to say, but people, again, as I've been saying, a lot of these channels that focus on that have been saying this for years and years and years and years and years. Like, they've been saying, it's going to happen tomorrow, it's going to happen tomorrow, it's going to happen today, it's going to happen tomorrow, it's going to happen this week, it's going to happen next week, and it hasn't happened since then. And markets go up and they go down, but they've more or less stabilized over the long term sort of thing. So when exactly the big collapse or the next big collapse is going to come, I don't know exactly when. But I can assure you that it will happen at some point in time, and it will be because of their doing, of course. So yeah, thanks for the comment, E-Man. I appreciate it. What's your opinion on banging multiple women at the same time? Is it narcissistic, a sign of mental instability, or normal for a man? Well, no, you can't sustain things like that. It's not normal for a man to do that. When you're young, you can do those things. And should you? Well, when you're young, you do a lot of stupid things that you probably wouldn't do at other parts of your life. But you can't do that as an adult and expect to maintain a balanced lifestyle. And, no, I don't know. I mean, you can't tell people how to live, for one, but then at the same time, banging multiple women at the same time. I don't know. I guess at the same time, I guess you mean having group sex and stuff like that. I don't, polyamory I'm very much against because I think it's ludicrous. It doesn't work. I mean, come on, seriously? In polyamory, tell me, has anyone in this chat that's here right now been in a polyamorous relationship that worked? I mean, how can it work? People get jealous. I mean, that's the whole thing about love, right? You fall in love with somebody. You don't want somebody else coming in, and then you fall in love with somebody, but they are like, well, I like to, like the bisexuality thing. It's like, yeah, well, I'll go out with you and you'll be my thing, but I have to have the other sex too because that's what I need. And it's like, no, that's narcissism. That's terrible. I mean, you're a toxic person. You can't go out with people like that. Can't maintain relationships. You certainly can't have family. So no, I don't. But I don't think there should be any law against having sex with multiple people if that's what you want. And, whorehouses have been around since the dawn of civilization. So it's the oldest trade likely that is there. So it's that's the whole thing. Is it a sustainable, happy lifestyle? No. It could be for a very small percentage of the population. There are maybe people that could kind of live like that and maybe enjoy it. I don't know. I just, I just don't understand it. I don't see how that can function long term. And being jealous and having those strong emotions is very normal because, I mean, it's a very emotional thing to be invested in somebody and loving somebody, right? It's a very emotional thing. And the last thing you want if you're in that situation is to have somebody else come in and rock the boat, upset everything, right? So, yeah, no, I don't see how that works for anybody. But it could work for you. And again, I'm not against it, but I don't think it's a healthy lifestyle. That's all. Oh, man, I missed a punch there. Thank you very much for these questions. I enjoy them. Where was I here? Can I send you my album? Well, maybe if you have it online. I can't give up my address or anything like that, but if you could send me a link, I could listen to it. Scoville, thanks. I'd really be interested. Hi from Val-d'Or, Quebec. Hey, Sebastien, nice to see you. Let's see here. I guess I should have started out with a question. Are you a... I'll just leave that. Electrically charged space debris from interplanet. Okay, I'm not sure if that's for me. I try to find things for me. Jeff, I press vinyl for my music. Nice. I love vinyl. I have a huge record collection. Vinyl's awesome. Gotta love it. Still, it's ludicrously expensive though today. People love vinyl today, especially the electronic music producers and stuff for sampling and stuff. Vinyl is still king. I think CDs are pretty good. You get CDs really cheap. And CDs don't scratch as easy as vinyl. I don't have a good record player. I have a huge record collection. I haven't been able to afford a good one. It's one of those things I've got, I'm going to get. But yeah, love vinyl. Anyways, David Icke is a huge shill. Wasn't David Icke a soccer player back in the day? He was. He played, I think, in the Premiership, and then he worked for the BBC. And then he was walking... The story goes he was walking into a bookstore or something, and a sign fell and hit him on the head, and then he had these visions of lizard people running the governments. And then David Icke puts out some pretty good information, though. He people ask me, is he a shill? Is he a shill? Yeah, probably. Yeah. I mean, you don't get to where he is. But he's always been much better than Alex Jones, much more closer to the reality. I think he's like 80% truth, 20% nonsense. Maybe that's the formula for David Icke. Yeah, I just don't listen to him though. I mean, I never do. So I just don't think anybody would be a mainstream type of guy. I think they put these people out there for those reasons, right? To control the narrative and stuff. Anyways, those are people. Yeah, that's right. Let's see here. People should be getting married at much younger ages than they are today, but how people are so suspended into childhood, it's not happening. Yeah, I agree. Innovation, it's very normal. I mean, in the past, it was normal for older men to marry very young girls that have come of age, sort of thing. And that was all about, you know, make as many babies as you can, making families, making populations, keeping bloodlines going. They don't want you to breed anymore. That's all. I mean, it's that simple. So how do they stop you from breeding? Well, they make it very expensive. They make living very expensive. They make it seem like education is the only way to advance yourself, when really it's a way of putting yourself in a massive financial hole and get programmed into cultural Marxism. Let's be honest. Most of the degrees that are coming out, I mean, unless you're in the sciences and stuff, I mean, I'm talking real sciences. I'm not talking, the fake sciences sort of thing. But there's really, I really don't think that the education system is there to produce better human beings. I think it's there to program people for the most part, especially the high schools and all that. But even the universities are chock full of cultural Marxist programming. And so everybody's programmed in this notion that you have to go through, and then you have to get a higher education, and then you have to do this and you have to do that, and then you're in so much debt, and it's so expensive, it's almost impossible to buy a home, that you can't even think or conceive of having children. And then you're programmed with the narcissism, and then you're assaulted every day with the media, the Game of Thrones, the type of programming that you get in every element, and then people are just thinking it's normal. And it's not. And it's not the way that we're supposed to be. And I always hearken back to the Eisenhower era, where somebody would get out of high school, get a job at a corporation, have a car and a home within a year, and all paid off for. And the wife could stay at home, be a mother, and raise the kids. And they want to toxify that sort of notion and pollute it and make you think it was cruel, and it was a myth, and all these things. They put out all these movies coming out of Hollywood trying to poison the myth of the Eisenhower type baby boomer era. And it's an unfortunate reality that they have constructed this realm, and this is why narcissism and selfie culture is pushed everywhere. And alcoholism and drugs and everything else is normalized, because they don't want people to function and at a high level in order to have families and procreate and all that. Anyways, great point. Innovation. Yeah, Tier says, I was ready to have a family by age 20, but all the males my age wanted to party and play video games. So did I. I was a massive party animal. Massive. And why was I a massive party? Well, I grew up watching movies and, being the cool dude and all that. Although I grew up in a completely dysfunctional family, so that doesn't help either. But, but that we're all programmed into that. So that's why I don't try to denigrate people that are under that psychosis, because it's very easy for anybody to be under that, because that's how they manufacture us. Anyways, what do you think about a country music? It seems like every song is girls, beer, and pickup trucks. Kind of like that, though. I like the old Woody Guthrie and stuff, I like old-time country. I think it's great, because it's a setting. And, like, music is like that. Let me give you an example. Go to Jamaica, and you understand quickly why reggae music is reggae music, and it comes from Jamaica, because it's so hot that you cannot possibly act like you're in Toronto, for instance, or New York City. It's too hot. in the middle of the day, there's no way you can walk around outside. You gotta be loose and cool and taking it easy because it's so hot. And so that's why the music, because it's laid back and it's it's a different vibe. And then Cuban mambo type music and bossa nova in Brazil. Another more examples of the climate and the setting is the music, and why the music is like it is because it comes from a certain setting. It's like Irish music, like coming from folk music and pubs and stuff like that. It's just beautiful stuff. So like the setting has a lot to do with where the music comes from. So that's why country music goes down so well. You're driving in the country. It's like that's because it has that feel to it. But I think the modern country music is polluted by the New World Order, and a lot of it's just garbage. Taylor Swift is awful. Anyways, you can go on about music all night. I missed probably a whole bunch here. Let's see. If you go to college, choose allied health field like RN, RT, or dental hygienist. You make good money. Yeah. Eric says, do you plan to live the rest of your days in Montreal? No, I'm not at all. No, I'm definitely going to get out. Definitely. Great city, but nah. I've been around my city all my life. There's better opportunities to wake other people up in city with more people around. Yeah, I agree. That's true. But everybody too. As you get older, you don't want to be in the city. When you're young, cities are fun, right? You're always out partying, going to the bars, going to the concerts, right? The sporting events, everything. And then you get a little bit older, and it's like, wow, I've done all that. I don't want to do that anymore. What do you think of the new video game Death Stranding? I saw the preview today. I finally watched it, and Stranger Than Fiction was telling me about this game, and he's saying it's crazy. He says nuts. He said you're a man. You're carrying around this baby in a vial. It's so twisted. I saw the preview for it. I was like, oh my god, it looks horrible. It looks like a terrible game too. I mean, I hate those games where you're like this game where you're carrying all this crap and you gotta go here and there. And a lot of these games, I mean, they can be fun and there's a lot of artistic and there's huge budgets behind them, A-list actors, soundtracks, the whole thing. But a lot of these games are designed to keep you playing the game. Like so much of these games just to keep you playing it forever, so that you're sucked away from everything else. This is I like video games. Like most of you, I grew up with video games. I had a Nintendo when I was a kid. They can be fun. I'll have fun playing them. You can watch some of my podcasts playing Doom. I was having a blast. I was getting into it, having fun. But they're a tremendous time sucker, for one. Two, they're full of all kinds of dark. I mean, like a game like Doom, for instance, is you're just fighting monsters, right? I mean, yeah, there's all the Satanism symbolism and everything else in it. But at the end of the day, it's a game. You're running around. You got these big guns. There's monsters running at you left, right, and center. You don't have time to think about this or that. It's a pure action thing. Whereas these other games that come out, Fallout's a great example, although it can be very funny and there's a lot of creativity that goes into these games. These games are huge budgets, right? They're much bigger than movies. You have to realize that. I think most people do. They could spend billions on these games, because they make billions off them. Grand Theft Auto 5 is probably the most popular video game of all time, and sold tens of millions of copies, and people don't play it for 2 hours. You go to see a movie for 2 hours. You could play Grand Theft Auto for years. People still do. So these games are there. They're designed to keep you coming back for more and keep you stuck in in them so that you keep exploring. They always put so much in there for you to explore. And those things are dangerous because there's so much you could be doing with your time other than, like I have the game Skyrim, for instance. It's a good game. It's funny. There's some fucked up things in it. But it's like there's so much grinding. Like that's so much part of it. And it's just so big. And it's like there's so many places to go. And it just becomes the same old, same old. You go in, you find a new mine, you go in the mine, you kill a bunch of monsters, you find some items, you get those items enchanted or whatever, and it's just wash, rinse, repeat, right? And it just goes on and on and on. But it's because the endorphins going off in the brain. The video game makers, just like the Facebook and the DARPA made social media that you are all programmed to, they understand how the human brain works, and they understand that video games are an addiction. They're a massive addiction. Anybody can become addicted to video games. They're designed to be addictive. Part of the reason why I do video games on Supreme Lord Commander is to show this to folks, to show what they're doing. So, I saw the Death Stranding with the Norman Reedus character. I mentioned it before earlier in the show. It was like this guy's... The character from Walking Dead is just unbelievable. They've had this guy, and the show has been going on forever. I mean, it's like I think they're in like year 10 or something stupid like that in the apocalypse, and he hasn't been laid once. It's like he never gets laid. It's like, what's the point of being alive? What's the point? You're not gonna get laid once, and then there's all these rumors that he's gay and all that crap. But it's like, yeah, it's pretty disturbing. Anyway, so yeah, I saw the preview for that game, and it looks really messed up. And it looks like a game that I would not enjoy playing. I don't enjoy it. I don't even think I would enjoy the Detroit Human game. I don't like those games. I don't like them. I like Fallout because it was funny. Fallout, I think, doesn't take itself too seriously. Although it's designed to be super addictive, Fallout it's also really silly, and it's meant to be really silly. So the people that are writing the game and putting all the little Easter eggs and crap in the game have a good sense of humor. And the creatures that you run into have a sense of humor, and they have character and stuff like that. And there's funny stories, and there's funny little things thrown in. So that's a kind of game I can dig when it's a big open world. But like these games that are really depressing, like the Deus Ex Mankind Divided, I just don't like these games. I don't like playing them. I don't enjoy them. So like even doing this game tonight, I wasn't really looking forward to it. I was like, I wanted to do it because I wanted to see what they were showing in the game, and because it was such a big game, and it was all dealing with transhumanism and robots becoming more human than humans. And I wanted to explore that with the audience to show you how they're programming people into accepting robots as being more human and giving robots human status and all that stuff, which is happening. It's manifesting. It's really disturbing. And I think that game would show a lot of that in it. So that's why I wanted to go through it. But I wasn't really enjoying it. Like what I enjoy for a video game is something that's quick and full. Like I like Rocket League, for instance. I like Overwatch, even though it's got all the crap in it. But I like a quick game you pick up and it's full of action and you do all these things. And then after, 25, 30, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour tops, you're just tired. You don't want to look at it anymore and you just turn it off. That's what I like in a video game. But yet I understand that these big blockbuster massive games are chock full of massive predictive programming and foreshadowing a lot of things that are to come. And so that's why I devote some time to going into them, but I don't really enjoy them. Anyways, I'm digressing. If there was an EMP, you would have to have a boatload of ammo on hand to defend yourself from the cannibal gangs roaming the streets. Yeah, it'd be bad instantly. It'd get bad, and every day it would get worse. It would be bad. It'd be really bad. People would lose their shit. Nobody would be prepared for it. Very few people. The preppers would be, but they would be the first people targeted. So if you're a prepper and you're always showing off to your friends, yeah, I got this and I got this bunker and I got all this, what do you think? And when people are starving, it's Yeah, it would be terrible, terrible. It's one of my big fears is something like that would happen. I hate that stuff because it's like we're all dependent on this society functioning. We all depend on these trucks and these trains and these planes and ships bringing in the foods and bringing in the items. And if that stopped, we'd be really bad. We'd be up shit's creek without a paddle, sort of thing. And then in that situation, the better chance of survival would be to be in a outside of the city centers, with a great deal of ammunition and with guns and a huge stockpile of food and a bunker, because people, once they start starving, which would happen pretty quickly, your grocery store only has 3 days worth of food on it, which means, and I'm sure most people know this, but 3 days of food means that on a normal shopping thing, within 3 days, every shelf would be empty in the grocer if there wasn't the trucks coming in. So that's just normal shipping. So you can imagine if maybe for some reason shipping stopped. Not that we had an EMP, but shipping stopped. People would be, a lot of people wouldn't even have a loaf of bread at home because they'd be so, well, I'll just go to the Starbucks or whatever, get a coffee and a muffin or something for breakfast. If an EMP or something like that went off, say a solar flare, which is another thing that they code a lot, and they could just shut off the power and say it's that or something, or they could create unleash their own EMPs. Then the civilization would go bad quick, very quick. You'd see the worst in people. You'd see the best in people. You see the worst in people. And as soon as people start starving, people have kids that are starving. They'll do anything. Like they'll go extreme real quick. And people are so soft these days. It would be nasty. It would be bad. There would be bloodshed everywhere. The murder would just be as normal as anything. It would be awful. So hopefully that never happens. Knocking on wood. Anyways, country music equals bad relationships. Meme culture in video games and movies has turned grown adults into children, and that unironically say stuff like heckling puppers. It's just insane how much they're turning us into children. Yes, Premium Orange, excellent comment. I wholeheartedly agree. Scalpel says, have you met Red Pill or any of your YouTube friends in person? Very few. Very few. I used to meet people and then bad things happen, so I don't typically do that anymore. Oh, you need another mod. Okay, here. There you go. Hang on a second here. Huge thanks to Tears. Everybody, poor Tears, doing a great job as a moderator. Really appreciate it. Thankless task, so give her some love there if you can, folks. What do you think about Jekyll Island and the Rockefeller's house being built on top of an ancient sacrificial altar? What do you think about the Smithsonian's and the Giants? Well, the Jekyll Island, of course, is the where they planned the whole Federal Reserve System. So, yeah, they're all into that. I mean, that's the stuff, the altar and building that stuff on, the ley lines and all these things that the occult knowledge that they have and the energy that they're able to harness and all these things. These are things that they're not my field really, but they're definitely relevant. And there's black magic going on. There's no doubt about it. Do I believe in black magic? Sure. Yeah. I've never seen it personally. I hope I never do. But I doubt. I would definitely believe that they are able to harness demonic powers and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of evidence to support that, and it's the kind of spooky stuff that you see. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. They're all into that. They really are. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So there is a beast system running our world at this point in time. I remember when Jeff's chats were flooded with shills. We had some bad times in the past. Sometimes I wasn't able to do shows like this because it got so bad. People would come in and say, name the what and shit, and it was just awful. It was like assaulting you in the comments. Supreme Lord Commander, AI cloning working. Hang on, I gotta make innovation here as well. Try to help out here. I could put a couple more of you as moderators here. In a society where a lot of people think family is bad and don't want to have children, then you know that your society's days are numbered. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's like they have taken us so far away from what we are, right? Like, what are we? Where do we come from? Well, families, right? Mothers, fathers, right? Sons and daughters. And what are we now? And they're trying to get rid of these things. Like when they're trying to get rid of Mother's Day and Father's Day, and every other day is a Rainbow Unicorn Day. The social programming is massive, and people are losing sight of what they are. It's like you got all these LGBTQ and XYZ people, and they hate heterosexuals. And it's like, well, not, like I say this all the time. I say it for the longest time. It's like, my sort of fantasy is to show up at the Pride Festival with a huge sign, in armor, wearing an armor, and a huge sign lit up saying, "You all are here because of heterosexuals." I know I'd be attacked and beaten, and probably people would try to kill me, but I would love to do that because it's ludicrous. I mean, you're all out celebrating what? What are you celebrating, right? Your mind control? Your programming? Your eugenics conditioning? I mean, what's to celebrate about that? How does it make sense? I mean, I understand that you need to, you don't want to treat people bad if they choose to be lesbian or gay or something. I'm totally against that. I would never treat anybody bad, and I treat everybody the same. But I mean, come on, right? We're all here because of one thing: the birds, the bees, the flowers, and the trees. I mean, we're here because we have mothers and fathers. That's it. You can't, Anyways, it's just nasty what's going on. Bennett, Jeff Detroit, unemployed. Red Dead Redemption 2 rocks. I have the Red Dead Redemption, the original, or Red Dead Redemption, and yeah, it's one of the best video games I've ever played. Those games are awesome. Although I would imagine there's a lot of programming in those now, I wonder. But there's, I love Westerns. And Red Dead Redemption took all the classic things from all the classic Westerns, like Ennio Morricone type themes, the spaghetti Western, Sergio Leone, Clint Eastwood, all the classic sort of Western themes and storylines, and mixed it all into this massive video game. I would say, without a doubt, it's one of the best video games I've ever played. And maybe if I can get it really cheap, or I can get it for free, you never know with the PS Plus. If I get that game, I would try to play through it on a live stream, just for fun, though. I think that's a game that I would enjoy. So, like, when you're talking open world type stuff, those games, because that's more of a romanticized thing, right? It's like Red Dead Redemption is, you're going back in time, and you're going to a time when things were more real, right? Where spade was a spade, man was a man, a woman was a woman, sort of thing. You farmers, you have outlaws, you have bandits, you have bankers. You just have the cast of characters that you would have in that setting, and they're so authentically done. You got your town drunks, you got your sheriff. It's like stepping into a Western movie, a classic Western, and they're so well done and well acted and voiced and everything. Just fantastic. That's epic, and those are the type of games that when it comes to an open world game, that's what I like. But this Death Stranding type of dystopic, horrible, and they're depicting United States completely wiped out, by the way, and there's nobody left, and there's these gooey black goo fucking entities that are attacking you, and the guy's going around, he's carrying this huge thing on his back, and it's just like you're carrying this gear everywhere, and it just looks horrible. I was just looking at it, I'm like, no, I would hate playing that. But yes, very good. I definitely like the Western game there. I think those are amazing. Haven't watched Corbett Report. I stopped watching him a while ago. I don't know. I still like James. Sex robots could be funny depending on the customization options. I always look on the bright side of life. If the chat was full of spammers and flat earth questions Jeff answered 1 million times, his real listeners wouldn't participate anymore. Yeah, that's right. Good for you, Tears. I put a couple more mods there. Hopefully that works out and helps you out. Jeff, if you want to press some vinyl before the end of the world, hit me. Gene Rosen. Thanks. Like that. That's awesome. Alligator is delicious. I wonder. Yeah, it probably is. Gators. I love gators. They're cool. Let's see here. Does alligator taste like chicken? Where am I here? But who's got a question now? I am off to work now. To those numbers up. All right. Hey, Jeff, is there a reason behind the sudden push in veganism? Yes, it's New World Order 101. It's 110%. You can't deny it. And then again, I'm not against vegans at all. I don't think there's anything wrong with choosing not to eat animals. And I've gone periods of my life where I've refrained from eating meat and stuff like that. I never really entertained the idea of being a vegan, though, or a vegetarian, because I like meat. But I think I think all our meat should be. We should have very strict rules that all the animals that we process for food are treated very humanely. And then maybe it costs twice as much, but you eat half as much, and you enjoy it more, and it's more tasty. It's better. I mean, if you had Yardbird chicken versus your typical sort of, what do you call it, Mick chicken or your Tyson chicken, Yardbird is much, the Yardbird, when I talk about Yardbird, I mean a bird that's running free kind of thing before it's killed on a farm. The meat tastes better. There's not nearly as much fat. There's not as much meat on the thing, but the meat that you get is tastier. It's a happier bird. Now, this all makes sense too. It's like water, and I've been meaning to do this. I should do this. I want to put like a little classical. I want to put like a little radio in my fridge, playing classical music and stuff, because organic matter reacts to music very favorably. Water has been tested over and over again and flows much better. In fact, it's been well known that sometimes with complicated sort of plumbing problems, that playing classical music will help flow the music. It will help flow the water. So I think if you treat things well, there's a harmony to it, and it becomes more nutritious and all that. So that's what I'm in favor for is humane treatment of animals. But I definitely do not think that we should stop eating meat, but that's what the New World Order wants us to do, because they want us to eat their fake meat. They want us to eat their lab-grown synthetic concoctions, which are likely highly toxic for us. And we've done a number of shows. I got Camille, who is the food guru, and we're going to do another show on the sugar pretty soon. We have to coordinate it. So Camille, hopefully if you're out there, I hope you're having a great night. Get your hands full. But yeah, we got to treat animals better. But yes, the vegan movement is, and again, it's never, I don't want to ever, because I know of Anonymous and other people that listen to me, Lee Stewie, others are vegans and stuff, and I totally respect that. But the vegan movement is controlled by the New World Order, and the vegan sort of programming is part of the New World Order, and they want us to stop eating meats so that we accept their synthetic foods. They're Soylent Green, right? They're changing our food. So, yeah, hopefully that answers the question there. Red Bull is also a reference to the devil. Rockstar is possibly a reference to Nibiru. In that game, too, that I mentioned, the Death Stranding, they have Monster Energy drink, and they actually have scenes in the game. I saw in the preview for it, and he's drinking the Monster. It's like one of the only things that's still around is the Monster beverage, and they have the Norman Reedus guy, actually going, and they have him taking shits too, and using the shower. And it's like, why would you put that in a video? Why do you want to see somebody showering in a video game? How retarded is that? Why would you want to see somebody drinking Red Bull or what is it? Monster Energy drink, which has the 3 Hebrew sort of 666 symbol in it? Why would you want to see that? Well, that's because that's part of your programming. And the people that control this New World Order are not good people. And they don't want what's good for you. I hate seeing this destruction, too. I hate, like, this game showing just a complete annihilation of North America. It's like, well, how did that happen? So that's pretty horrible. And there's huge craters, too. Like, it's really nasty. And again, as I say, these games disturb me. The movies disturb me a lot too, but the games are bigger and they're more involved, right? You're actually playing a role in them. The movies in the future, you'll play the characters, right? Like movies in the future will be in your brain, and you'll be able to play classic movies. You'll be able to play characters and stuff like that. It's all coming with the brain chips and the virtual reality and everything they're showing you with the Black Mirror. So yeah, it's all crazy. Do you even feel something out of normal in your life after starting Expose the Truth in YT? Do you even feel something out of normal in your life? Yeah, for sure. I'm not sure exactly what you mean, but do I feel like I'm not a normal person? I've never been a normal person, I guess you could say. So I've always been a bit different than the average person, but that's okay. You know, eccentric, I guess you could say. But yeah, it's being woke, I guess, to a certain extent. Makes you a little bit outcast, makes you a little bit different. Makes you see things a lot differently than everyone else. You see things a lot differently for the most part. But I think, I think a lot of people out there, I think we tend to dismiss a lot of people unfairly because they don't sing the same tune or they don't see things the same way. We have to stop doing that. But then again, when I say sheeple, it's kind of doing that. Hey Jeff, is there any consequences to wrong behavior besides law enforcement? Of course. There's always consequences to wrong behavior. Karma. Hey Jeff, check out the song "The Battle of New Orleans" by Johnny Horton. I challenge you to Super Smash Bros. I like Super Smash Bros. That's fun. I like fighting games. I think the best one I've ever played is Soul Calibur, because I think I used to have a lot of fun playing those with friends. But you don't want to play them alone, right? You want to be in a room with like we'd have like a whole bunch of guys and gals over, and we would play tournaments and stuff. We do that with NHL too, with the hockey. A lot of fun. I mean, that's the way I like to play video games. Or if I'm just gonna play them alone, I want to just have fun, and after half an hour, 45 minutes, okay, that's good. Got that out. But yeah. Anyways, where are we? I love rock overall. I've always just found the term rock star to be strange. I love rock and roll too. Rock and roll is just basically blues. It's not all that different. It's pretty much very similar. And what's not to like about American blues, right? I love all forms of music, mostly. Even stuff like techno and EDM and stuff like that have their places. I think like certain music is really good in certain situations. But I think there's really bad music. I think like disco, for instance, is pretty bad music. Dance music can be pretty bad. But there's always good with the bad anyways. I don't want to get in the music thing. Hey, Jeff, is punishment necessary for parenting for a child to learn self-discipline? Yeah, absolutely. You need to punish people. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, everybody can take their own approach. But if you have a kid that's acting up, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't let them be the boss. You go in your room, or you don't get to go, or you're going to be grounded. You're not going to go to the park this afternoon, or I don't know, but it's a family thing. Anyways, Supreme Commander, can you take back the old school shows? Can you bring back the old school shows with Red Pill, TMF Weekly, and maybe add KJ and everyone unite like the past? TransAsia ruined everything. Yeah, I mean, I did a show with TMF last week. I don't have time to do shows all the time. There's no way I'd be able to do it. And I like to work with different people. So depending on the topic, I'll do it. Like KJ as well, like he brings me on the show, maybe, once, twice a month sort of thing, because there's a topic that he thinks I'm good at and that I would, help inform people about. That's kind of my approach to it. So, I work with a lot of different people over the years. And I'll work with people that I think, depending on the topic, that are really good. But I don't believe that you're going to have a whole happy sort of community sort of thing, and you're always going to have different opinions and stuff like that. And then again, you could have the group think as well. And then drama is the worst. It's the worst shit ever. That's why I'm no drama. I have no drama because it never goes anywhere. It's the worst thing ever. So you'll never hear me engaging in any drama with any other YouTuber sort of thing, because that's just a plot and it's a waste of time. I think YouTube drama is the stupidest shit I've ever seen. But yeah, I work with people based on what I feel at the particular time I'm doing a show. So like I did Camille, for instance, with the food. Cookie, Harry Cookie Monster, another great content YouTuber who I love working with. I had him on the Halloween show on JeffC Live. That was an excellent show. If you haven't heard that show, we did the whole Halloween, but it's much more than a typical Halloween sort of show, because we were doing the whole breakdown of the psychology of horror films and what the programming and all the different themes that are in these films. And those are great conversations. So yeah, we just, but I'm more off on my own these days, kind of thing, doing my thing. Yeah, so when you hear somebody say Judeo-Christian, Judeo-Christians, yeah, I know. They love to throw that in, so you automatically say it. I'm in South Florida, but it would be great to get together to exchange ideas. I saw the monster logo in the movie called Suicide Squad all over the place, which were shown. Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy. It's just nuts. It just pops up everywhere. Let's see here. Where was I? Hang on a second here. Yeah, I'm gonna right now. I'm gonna get myself a bone broth. Dry. I'll be right back. All right. You got the bone broth going here. All right. Friday night, so only drink on the weekends. What's up, folks? So where was I here? Again, if I missed your question, do you think homosexual will destroy the world? It seems the gay manifesto is playing itself out. Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, the gay manifesto is crazy. Crazy. But it's almost too crazy to be true. It's like, what? No, because I think unless you can genetically engineer humans to be homosexual, most people are going to be attracted to the opposite sex, because that's the way that we are programmed by Mother Nature, by God. So the most natural thing in the world is for a man to be aroused by a woman and vice versa, because that's the way it works. And that's what it's all about. So if they genetically engineer humans to be gay, then yeah. But if they don't, now that's, the fake foods, the lab meats, the genetically modified foods, the high fructose corn sugar, the all those things, the synthetic lab meats, everything that we cover is affecting people's hormonal systems and could be very well turning people gay. It's certainly having an impact on the way that the youth perceive their genders and all that. But as far as if human beings are not genetically manipulated on every level, it's only natural for men to love women and vice versa. It's the most natural thing in the world. So that's what I say, is that the gay manifesto, if you've ever read it, is like this manifesto saying that everyone's going to be gay and we're going to turn your children and we're going to make them gay and the gay world is the future and we're going to destroy everything. We're going to destroy families and we're going to, it's just nuts. It's madness. But yet, you look around, you're almost like, oh my God. It's crazy. Anyways, people accept being treated like crap at a job because they feel like they need money. Work somewhere that makes you happy, not miserable. 100%. Great quote there, Tears. Totally agree. No point in doing a job that makes you miserable. Find another job, because misery is not in existence. Supreme Lord Commander, can you cover 5G more? Yes. Ultimately, connector for everything they've planned. Sorry, you keep scrolling past. Thank you very much. Imagine I appreciate the question. Definitely, 100%. I'm going to be all over it. Very concerned about it. Let's see here. What do you think is a lie and you know it? The money is your God. What you think is a lie and you know it, the money is your God. I'm not sure if that's to me or money is your God. Not my God. Not even close. But I think that is a way of programming people. And I think a lot of successful Hollywood type people and people in media, YouTube celebrities and whatnot, that is definitely true. There's no doubt about it. They are poisoned by money and they are obsessed with money. And it's a sickness. It's an absolute sickness. And yeah, I mean, but you need it to survive. That's the problem. So, and success is not a negative thing. But the thing is, if you make the deal, it's like, I believe in having more of a moderate success and just being able to live life on your terms, as opposed to being a super success and having to make deals. But let's see here. Supreme Lord Commander, for middle-aged guy with some money, best place to live if leaving Canada: South America, Southeast Asia, Eastern Europe. Could be, I wouldn't know. I definitely wouldn't know. If I had to choose, I don't know. I mean, I think all of those could be pretty interesting. Southeast Asia sounds pretty cool. South America, Eastern Europe. Yeah, a lot of those places could be amazing. I'd probably be like South America or Southeast Asia, even though I'm white. Yeah, interesting though. Jeff, who are some of the other trustworthy truthers that people should follow? I don't like to do that because I don't want to, like you can look on my channel, you see some of the channels that I support. KJ Osborne, Stranger Than Fiction, really graceful, of course, is amazing. A lot of people that I've worked with over the years, I think do really solid work, and that's who I support. I don't support grifters or disinfo agents or psyopers, right? So, but yeah, I mean, Harry Cookie Monster, people like that, TMF, there's a lot of good people, Press Reset, that I've worked with over the years that I think are genuine people, but I don't know everyone. So, and I could make mistakes on people, as possible, but I'm not here to endorse, but I think I do, in a sense that I support people that I believe that do good work and I think are honest. Check out the channel Truth is Stranger Than Fiction. I'm assuming you're not Christian. What are your beliefs after death? I don't know. I believe we have souls, so I think that I don't believe in, I'm definitely not atheist. Anybody that thinks that is fucking nuts. I'm not at all, not even remotely atheist. In fact, I'm disgusted with most of the atheists on YouTube. I find them to be very shilly. There's a whole ton of atheists, and they all seem to have man buns and wear rainbows and wear NASA shirts and stuff like that. I'm really suspicious of these atheists, so-called atheist channels. But I don't really know what happens in the afterlife. Maybe we're reincarnated. Maybe we, go somewhere else. Maybe our spirit becomes something else. Who knows? I really don't know. I don't know about that. But, I'd like to think that, yeah, we live on. Our spirit becomes something else, or it goes somewhere else, or, it lives on. So that's the way I look at it. I don't really know how or where or why or any of that, but that's what I believe. Anyways, I used to do that with Tekken 2, Tekken Tag Team. Yeah, pretty cool. It's fun, eh? It's fun. Like, I had such good friends. So much fun. We just have so much fun, doing that. I used to have crazy NHL games and stuff like that with my buddies. We get really into it. It'd be fun because you'd want to kick their ass, sort of thing. Anyways, you gotta have fun. ABBA was talented. Yeah, ABBA's a palindrome, by the way. ABBA from the disco era. Money. Everything is just like a simple. ABBA just figured out the formula. That's all. There's nothing deep about their music. There's very good melodies. I'll give them that. You can't deny that the ABBA songs have very strong melodies. The two guys in ABBA and the attractive women, there's a good formula. Do I groan when I hear ABBA sometimes? Yeah. For sure. ABBA, but that's it. I mean, ABBA it's a formula, and it worked really well. But I'll give ABBA credit. They never got back together. And it wasn't about, like, they were offered like $1 billion apparently to reform and tour. $1 billion, and they turned it down. Good for them. And they just, the interesting thing is the two guys that wrote all the songs for ABBA, they know exactly what it was. Like, they say, it's just simple, stupid, repetitive music. I think they're classically trained too, so they're musicians. They're really, they understood that their music was just made for the masses. It wasn't complicated. It was very simple and repetitive. All the songs have a repetitive theme, right? Money. Knowing me, knowing you. This is funny. Yeah, it's just, that's what it was, the formula, and it worked, and good for them. And good, more credit to ABBA for never reforming, because that's one thing I hate is when bands come back for another paycheck, like Eagles even. Eagles said, when hell freezes over, well, hell did freeze over. They all of a sudden money, Anyways, they're corporate rock. Esports is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. Watching beta males play video games was horrible. Yeah, I don't see any point watching that. I mean, if somebody's entertaining and they're doing a gaming thing, I can understand that. But, like, watching people play video games, it's not a sport. That's not sports. Sorry, you're not playing sports at all. That's not athletic. That's not a sport. And that's the way I define sports. Sports is athleticism. I don't even think darts is a sport, although it takes more skill than playing a video game. I just think it's a pastime. Even curling, I would argue, is not really a sport, because come on, curling. I've done curling, by the way, so I'm not talking out of my ass, right? Curling, anybody could play curling. I mean, curling is ludicrous. It's easy as F. It's not a hard game, and it's not like the world's best player is somebody that probably I could beat if I practice for a few months. Maybe not a few months, but a year or two, because it's not all that difficult. It's very simple. I mean, you're sliding out, you're twisting a rock, and you just got to get the timing right and the feel, and then the sweeping and all that. Not again. It's a neat little pastime, but come on. I mean, it comes to the Olympics. You're gonna compare curling to frickin' alpine skiing. Alpine skiing, you could ski all your life and never even come close to being a slalom or downhill, Olympian. I mean, these guys they're born on skis, and they're such amazing athletes. So there's a world of difference between that and say curling. A world of difference. I mean, it's not even comparable. So yeah, it's not a sport. Playing video games is not a sport. Seeing these tournaments just hilarious. Again, I'm not against it because capitalism, right? If people want to watch it, they're going to watch it. But yeah, I kind of agree with that. I wonder if anybody's a big curler here. I'm going to piss some people off. They'll be like, he doesn't like curling. I'm not subbing. Check out 7 Lions 432 Hertz mix. Yeah, I know about the 432 tuning. I've done quite a bit of research into that. I'm still on the fence with it, so people may not understand, but the frequency, the hertz that they use in today's is A440, is the standard for modern music. I think it was adopted in the 1920s. I'm not sure. Is early 20th century. But the 432 hertz people claim is more harmonious with nature, and then conspiracy theorists dealing with this claim that the 440 is more demonic and satanic. But I'm not really sure. I'm still on the fence. I have to do a lot more research, but I've watched a gazillion videos. I've read all these articles, and I still don't know what to believe. I'm still like, maybe I've thought about tuning to 432 a lot of times. But most pianos and guitars and most instruments are tuned to A440 these days. I don't really believe the 432 hertz, but there is stuff there to look into. It's possible. Disco sucks. Yeah, I agree, Greta Hogg. I love that. Disco does suck. Disco is there is some good disco songs though. Like I like some Bee Gees songs that I'm kind of embarrassed to admit, but there are some good songs. Like they're well written. They're good chord progressions. They're well performed. I like funk a lot, and some of disco kind of bleeds into funk. There are some good disco songs, but most disco is horrible, and most of it's terrible, and most of it was just the lowest form of entertainment, and it's all about drugs, right? In fact, the disco culture is from the gay community. I don't know if you guys know this. I've always meant to do a video on this. The whole disco scene came from the gay villages of New York, and they basically took the formula, the promiscuous sex, the drugs, and the dance with all the lights, the rainbow lights, and the Saturn balls. The disco balls are Saturn, right? The mirror ball. And they brought that and formalized it and made it into a mainstream thing for the normal sort of people, and then infused it with cocaine, which was readily accessible via the CIA and everything else that was funneling massive amounts of cocaine into the big cities. And that's where the disco culture came from. So the disco is very evil, actually, and it's pretty nasty. The irony, too, if you watch Saturday Night Fever, which is Saturn Night Fever, with the disco ball and John Travolta. And Travolta, by the way, says that he said this about Hollywood, that there are a bunch of gay JWs that run Hollywood. And he's kind of been blacklisted since he came out and said that. But if you watch Saturday Night Fever, which kind of put John Travolta on the map, and it's not a horrible film. It's well made, and the soundtrack that's where you get the better disco. You got the Bee Gees. You got, things like Open Sesame and stuff like that. Some pretty cool songs. But if you watch the story, the characters, there's a gay guy, one of the characters in the film, and he's gay, and he actually commits suicide in the film. I thought it was kind of emblematic of where the gay culture is going, if you will. So anyways, Interesting. See here, electronic instruments are awesome. Yeah, I agree. I'm not against technology and instruments, although nothing beats uh, old school instruments. Nothing like a piano or a guitar, like a classical guitar or piano or harpsichord or freaking tuba, like a classical music. Real live music is the best and it'll never be replaced. But I do think electronic music is pretty cool too. Have you any funny school day stories? I was cracking up about a recent show where you talked about climbing out the window. Yeah, I used to do that all the time. I was terrible in school. Terrible. Terrible. I was a bad seed. I was one of the bad guys. I was in the back of the class, you know, hitting on all the girls and teasing the nerds and blowing spitballs and whatever else. I was bad, but you know, I can't blame me. It was prison. That's the way it was. It was prison. It was prison. I never wanted to be there ever. The worst day of every day of my life is the first day of school I had, whether it was elementary or it was high school. I mean, I like university. I like college, especially with all the girls. I like that, right? Because then you could learn what you wanted to learn. But I didn't like any of public school system. But I could tell you a million stories. That's not for public though. That's for private conversation. Ask you a matter of fact. Let's see here. Have any? Okay. I ask in a matter of fact after start videos exposing the satanic agenda. Besides your channels being shut down, any more stranger happenings in your life? Sure. Yeah. But I'd rather not talk about that. I just try to keep that private. But have I been stalked and shit like that? Yeah. But that's all. Anyways. It's nasty. What is your network? I don't really have a network. I don't know what you mean by that. I don't have a network. I'm just a lone guy doing my thing. I have some friends, people I've worked with over the years, people that I've grown to know and trust, and that's it. But I don't have any network. I'm not a part of anything, and nor should you be, really, in my opinion. And there's many reasons why not. But yeah, that's the way I kind of see it. You've mentioned before you used to be an avid reader. What were some of the better books you've read? Personally, I like the Greek classics like the Iliad. Yeah, the Odyssey, the Iliad, Homer. What are the Roman classics as well. But like more for me, being an avid reader, I was a big science fiction reader. It was probably my favorite genre. So I read all, like, from the earliest sci-fi, Jules Verne's, H.G. Wells, all those guys, up to, Asimov and Bradbury and contemporary type. I haven't read a lot lately. I used to read all the time. Horror, I love H.P. Lovecraft and, Edgar Allan Poe and people like that. So that's the type of stuff. And I read a lot of nonfiction as well. But yeah, I was more into sci-fi, fantasy, the Tolkien and all those as well. And there's a phase I went through where I read a lot of fantasy. Not all of them were very good. Some of them were just total pulp fiction, but were enjoyable. So I was in university, a lot of, I living with friends and stuff, and we'd have books and we just go through them. We just toss them around, get onto a series. Somebody would, I read all like the Stephen King's and Anne Rice's and all those books as well. All the pulp fiction that, was really popular back in the day. And then all the dystopic classics, Aldous Huxley and, obviously George Orwell and, writers like that, John Wyndham, I love classic old sci-fi. I love those. Those are always some of them, and a lot of historical books and stuff like that as well. So yeah. Let's see here. Sadly, how many flat Earth shields are here? Yes, it's a punch clock. Punching in. Uh, there is some great disco. Yes, there is. I feel bad now. I'm going to be quoted on that. JeffC said that there's some great disco. There's a lot more bad disco than there is. But I think that's with every genre of music. Every genre. Because disco is more or less a beat, right? And like, okay, I'll give you an example of a great disco song. The Rolling Stones, Emotional Rescue. That's a really great disco song. And it's a disco song. I mean, that's disco, 100%. But it's super cool. It's the Rolling Stones, right? I mentioned the Bee Gees before, and you know, it's songs like Open Sesame and stuff like that. Those are really cool songs, you know, in any era. And some discos just got a good beat to it. I'm more in, like, if 70s stuff, I like the funk, you know, Parliament funk and stuff like that. Love that stuff. I could listen to that all day. So like that era of music in the 70s. And I like the punk rock too from the 1970s, you know. Sex Pistols, The Clash, one of my favorite bands. You know, there's a lot of good stuff that came out of that era, I guess you could say. That and that was interesting because the punk rock might have been the last sort of genuine counterculture that may not have been entirely controlled by the New World Order. I think a certain extent of it was. But you look at bands like the Sex Pistols, and they were almost too punkish to not be authentic, right? They were just so destructive. I think that's the whole thing about why punk music was so refreshing, because you had the disco, and the disco, you know, all these people coked up and dancing on the dance floor with all the lights, and everybody's so pretentious and full of themselves. And then you had the punk rockers that come out and they just smash everything, and they don't even want to learn music. They just want to play. You know, it's kind of refreshing. Anyways, did you hear about Luxembourg's 2013 trial of 2 senior police accused of planting bombs in public places during the 80s? It's one of the least known acknowledged psyops. No, I haven't heard about that. Sounds fascinating, E-Man. Really, it's amazing to think about that, eh? It's like these stories just come out. It's like, whoa, gives you an idea. Thanks for sharing. I haven't heard about that. Do you think arranged marriages could be a good thing if not forced, but just a way to promote families? Arranged marriages are not bad. In fact, historically, if you compare them to, it's almost the same as like marriages based on love, because it's more of a contractual sort of agreement, but it doesn't mean you can't love the person. And maybe you arrange, like the royal family or the aristocracy and the royals and all that, they're always arranged, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't work. In fact, it can work really well. But that's the whole thing, right? We're misled into this notion that you have to find the absolute right person and the perfect person and pure love and all that. And I do agree, you can find that. You know, hopefully you can find true love in your life and have a wonderful relationship. But I don't think there's anything wrong with arranged marriages. I don't think then again, I don't come from that, so I can't say. And then, you know, with certain cultures, it's a bit of inbreeding and stuff like that. So that's, you know, there's all that stuff. But yeah. My stance is that no number is privileged above any other in nature. Do you think okay, read that one. Jamiroquai is the best funk disco. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's good stuff. Disco is Jewish. Disco is not evil. Yeah, some of it is for sure, but it is what it is. It's interesting. I've always talked about doing this on Supreme Lord Commander, where I would do music podcasts, because I could discuss different eras. I could do 50s, I could do 40s, I could do 30s, I could even do Baroque and classical and all that. So like I know a lot about different eras of music. I mean, these are before my time. Disco's before my time. A lot of these punk rocks before my time. but I know them well because of my parents and stuff like that. Had the records and stuff. So, Studio 54, Jeff. Yes, Rex. Travolta's a closet homosexual. Yeah, maybe, but maybe it's the people in Hollywood that want you to believe that because of things that he said. They have a tendency to do that to people that cross them. But I don't really care because I wouldn't. My dad actually met John Travolta, though. That's an interesting thing. Maybe someday I'll tell a story. Competitive bodybuilding is not really a sport, but it requires you to be in crazy shape. No, it's not a sport, but it is, but that's, And then again, competitive bodybuilding, maybe now it's different, but maybe not. It was always steroids, right? Like, especially Schwarzenegger's era and Mr. Universe and all that. And I would never, ever be remotely into that. I find it disgusting. I'll be honest. I find it fucking disgusting. I find it disgusting. I don't want to look at a man with all these veins popping out and these huge muscles. And I just don't see the point. To me, it's silly. But I do think bodybuilding's great. And I think being strong is awesome. But I don't understand the competitive part. I think that, it's not the worst thing, though. I mean, like, when you think about it, these people are working out, they're getting strong. You can't really say, but the drugs and the steroids and all that comes with it. You could say the narcissism and all that, but yeah, that's a good point, though. Appreciate that. It did bring me God, though. I don't think that's for me. Let's see here. It's just sad that you can judge someone just because they think differently than you. Don't put people in a box. That's not for me. Jeff, friend, finally explain your religious beliefs. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't adhere to any religion. I totally believe in God. There you go. I think Jesus was awesome. And, yeah, I'm an open book for most of the part. I don't believe in organized religion, but I am very spiritual, and I definitely 100% believe in God. I just don't adhere to any particular religion. So that's kind of the way I say it. So when I say God bless, I mean it sincerely. I'm not talking out of my ass. I'm not like, I'm going to appeal to the Christian truthers and stuff like that. No, I don't think like that at all. I just fully believe in that. The Village People has become a cultural expression now. It always was. Well, cultural expression. It was New World Order programming, the worst type of New World Order programming. Village People is from our controllers, it's programming, and it is evil. Although, you could laugh it off, but it's taking the most masculine roles and turning them gay. So you think, what are the most masculine things people do? Construction, cowboy, police officer, right? Indian tribe chief, right? Those are the Village People. Man, I know I'm missing one. You had the construction guy. You had was there a fireman? There was a cop. There was the cop. I think he was black. There's the cowboy. There's the Indian chief. Right? They're all symbols of masculinity. So they took the most masculine sort of archetype roles and they turned them gay. Because the people that created Village People are evil. And there are controllers. And this is what they use as a weapon to destroy us. So, the YMCA. Think about that too. Encouraging young men to go to the YMCA, right? And go in the Navy. In the Navy. And that was because of, you're in the Navy. You're amongst men all day. You're out at sea. Sodomy. Rum, sodomy, and the lash. If you're a Pogues fan, you know what I'm saying. All right? Anyways. In The Walking Dead, one of the characters, Ezekiel, has thyroid cancer. More cancer, death, programming, and normalization. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I got drunk with Mark Passio at Free Your Mind conference, and he admitted to me that everything he does is a scam for easy money. I like that comment. I have to laugh because Mark is so angry. Whenever I see him, he's the funniest guy. He cracks me up. He's like, he freaks out at his listeners. He says, I can't, it's almost like he has nothing but contempt for the people that listen to Mark Passio. He gets angry every time. He's like, people listen to my show and they never figure it out. You can't just come in and start listening to my show. This is episode 321. You have to go back to episode 1. You have to go back. You have to listen to each episode. It's like, what? You're going to listen to each episode? You're going to devote, like, what? A huge portion of your life to listen to everything he's done. Yeah, no. I doubt he would do that. I think, Passio, he's got some good information. I don't know if I trust him. I don't listen to him very much, but the one thing I kind of like about Passio is his contempt for idiots. I kind of like that because he describes people that refuse to wake up as bad people because they're ignoring their ignorance, that they refuse to wake up. I like that because it's kind of refreshing, right? And all that, but that's funny. Where is that? That cracks me up. It just cracks me up so much. How many shekels did you make today? I don't think that's for me. I don't know where I was here. Things just fly by. Competitive bodybuilding is all steroids unless you compete. Natural, actual competition is just posing, not really sport, more of a beauty pageant. Yeah, I don't. Especially the women. Get the frig out of town. That's the last type of women on planet Earth I'd want to date, is big muscular women. Get the frig out of here. That's like everything anti-women. It's like, I don't want my women to have muscles. I don't want her playing rugby. Are you kidding? What kind of, it's madness what they're doing to women. It's like, like I see the women's rugby and I'm like, that's the last sport. I used to play rugby. I played rugby throughout high school, right? Great sport. Love it. That's the last sport on planet Earth women should be playing. It's just brutal. That's male testosterone aggression. It's dirty. It's bloody, nasty. It's so unfeminine. Football, unfeminine. Ice hockey, unfeminine. I don't want to watch. I know the women could put on a good show, but people, the women should get paid in Canada, Rainbow Unicorn. The women don't get what the men do. You put a Pee-wee's team against the women's national team and they kick their butt. All right? No offense to women. I'm not offending you. I'm just saying, men are much stronger and much more physically capable. We're the ones that go out and hunt, and you're the ones that make the babies, right? We can't make the babies, but we can throw a spear. We can hunt and kill. That's what we're supposed to do, and you're supposed to be female. Ideally, right? It's madness what they're doing to women. It's madness. They want women to be men. Anyways, so you believe the Jew lie that is Christianity and Jesus? I don't think that's for me. Organized religion, no, yeah. Awesome. Yes, thanks, Tears. It's crazy that it costs tons of money to adopt, but that you can kill a baby for free. That's nuts, eh? Goes to show you, right? Let's see. Too many chefs, not enough Indians. Jeff, you hit the nail on the head. Probably, I can't remember what it was, though. Did you know that my man Trump is going to win next year? He's your man. You got that orange face ogre. It was much more of a Roman psyop against Jews as anything, or a Messianic ones, the least. There's a lot of Gentile philosophy. The Jews didn't invent God. Nah, it's monotheism, polytheism. Again, polytheism, atheism. Atheism is just a belief in no God. There is no creator. And, to me, it's just, it's just, it doesn't make any sense. And it's just, I just don't, I respect that. You can be an atheist. I'm not going to kick you out of my home or anything. But I find a lot of the atheist channels on YouTube are just nasty people. I think that falls hand in glove with the whole rainbow type narcissistic programming. I think a belief in God is a healthy thing because it makes you feel humble, hopefully. It's just organized religion is, to me, that's a no-no. Anyways, Jeff, don't believe the Jewish lie which destroyed Europe. Christ was created by the Jews. Yeah, I can understand that people put that forth, and that's one of the big things that people would debate. But no, I'm not going there. Let's see here. Where are we? I'm where am I here? Do you have any Q tips today? I'm by no means pro drugs. However, have you ever taken shrooms? Yeah, of course. I found shroom trip once in a while. It's incredible, mind opening. Yeah, I loved shrooms when I was younger. They were my favorite. Well, I didn't. I mean, I did my share. Let's just say I did LSD and all that, but shrooms were a better high, cleaner, and they're natural. I mean, they're purely natural. So that's my philosophy. I had one of my good buddies back then who was like a very straight shooter type thing. He was cool with shrooms because he was like, it's if Mother Nature's making it, and it's out there, you just pick them and eat them, then it's cool. And shrooms, a lot of, Joe Rogan likes to talk about shrooms being the origin of religions and certain things, and a lot of philosophy and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, but I'm not going to come here and tell people to take shrooms. I'm going to say that if you're going to take some sort of psychedelic, then mushrooms would be my recommendation. I would not recommend people taking LSD unless you're got a strong mental fortitude, and I wouldn't even recommend it, period. But I would recommend shrooms. Not recommend it, pardon me, but say if you came to me, you say, yeah, I really want to take psychedelics, but I don't know what I should take. I say, well, if you really want to take them, then take mushrooms, because you get a more milder sort of hallucinogenic buzz. It lasts shorter. It's usually about 4 or 5 hours, and it's a more pleasant experience. So yeah, I like shrooms, but I haven't done them since I was like a teen. Basically, I don't do any of that shit anymore. Don't touch that. It's interesting though. I hope people are at least a little bit open-minded for that. I would never promote, LSD or anything like that. I don't believe the Earth is spinning. I knew that would happen. I've had some bad mushroom trips, and by no means think other drugs are enlightening. However, with shrooms, I found them to really force me to address my flaws. Right? Yeah, that's it. Sometimes a bad trip can be a good thing because it can focus you, make you come to terms, and make you face some things that you might be denying. Right? And then you come out of it. You go through a hard time, having a bad trip. I've had a couple bad trips, although most of the time I've done the hallucination. It's been pretty good. But you have a bad trip, maybe that makes you think internally that, oh my gosh, I got to do this, I got to do that. So, but anyways, you shouldn't, nobody ever needs to take alcohol or drugs or anything. And nor should anybody be, promoting that type of lifestyle. But I believe that you should be able to if you want to, really, sort of thing. And speaking of that, it's time to top off my bone broth here. Let me just grab another Brucey. Eat 12 grams dried. That would have given you a trip and a half. That's nuts. Kosher sauce. I used to take them, go to concerts and stuff. Wow. Pretty crazy times, I'll tell you. But again, never promote that stuff. But if you ever are going to experiment and you're thinking about it, go with the shrooms. Go and make sure you get it from somebody that's, good. Don't. But yeah, and that's the thing too with LSD. It's like it's usually on a drop a piece of paper or something like that. You don't know where that's coming from. You don't know who made that. You don't know what's in it. But a shroom, if it's natural, it's from the ground, sort of thing. Well, it's Mother Nature. So that makes it different. Shrooms open doorways to a demonic realm. I understand that point of view, but I don't necessarily agree. I don't think so. But I can understand people that, and again, that could be a nice debate, right? But I don't agree. I didn't see demonic things when I took shrooms. And I believe that if something is coming from the earth and Mother Nature is making it, then, then it doesn't mean, I mean, there's a lot of things you can eat in the wild that would kill you. So it's not, but it doesn't kill you. It gives you a really, if you get too high on shrooms, take vitamin C to offset it. Rogan's snow job interview is awful. Only watched a tiny bit of it, but decided not to waste any more time. Yeah, it's terrible. 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 Snow job is awful. He reminds me of somebody. Almost uncanny, the way his cadence and his speech. But yeah, he's just a show. He's just a character. He's an actor playing a role, and he's there to just soften the blow of what they're doing. That's my opinion, though. You can disagree. They seem to have used Amanita muscaria in shaman I can't read now, rituals and ancient schools rites. They don't seem popular now, though. They're just not that much fun, I suppose. Yeah, it's true. That's all. There's there's an interesting film. It's from the tribe, but it's called Altered States. I'm not sure if there was a book. Probably a book. Altered States. I think it's got who's the actor? I can't remember. See that he starts to revert to a caveman. He's experimenting in a deprivation chamber with. It's like Joe Rogan probably saw that movie. Joe Rogan's like, I gotta get one of those. That's actually a cool movie though, because the hallucination scenes are pretty well done. I'll have to say, people. I mentioned the film Midsummer. Again, it's a tribe, but Midsummer they do a good job with the hallucinogenics in the film, because they kind of get the feel of it right. Like the scene where they all take shrooms. I think they took shrooms. Yeah, they took shrooms. And they start tripping. And a guy's having a bad trip. And he's like, okay, everybody, guys, you got to lie down. Okay, everybody lie down now. Here, somebody's coming. Well, we don't want more people. I don't want more people coming. I don't want. It's just hilarious. That's exactly how people are usually, and you get those types of things. When you do, if you ever do experiment with hallucinogenics, you probably don't want to be out. Like I've done it in bars, I've done it in rock shows, I've been in frickin' arcades, I've been in street festivals. Don't do it in those things. You want to be in a nice contained, home or apartment, something that it's going to be not any interruptions and stuff like that. You just want to be able to, you don't need much. You can be in a nice room with people and have some lava lamps and stuff going and stuff like that. Those are great. Anyways, I'm not here to cheers, man, bear pig. Saw that. Love that name. Yeah. Why are you making such good Alex Jones impersonations?
Well, I've had quite a bit of experience over the years making fun of Alex Jones. So many times, I've covered Alex Jones, and I guess I just developed the knack of doing it. Of course, doing the gaming shows.
I used to do the gaming shows or the gaming streams, which I was trying to do tonight. And I would flip between the Alex Jones voice and the Flat Earth faggot voice that I used to do. Because Flat Earth makes your voice gare, or it seems that way. So, bone broth shots. No shots. Hey, there's Twaddle. Hey, is innovation censoring my comment? Have you not addressed the Twaddle yet? I just saw you, Twaddle. Nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. I heard you on KJ's show, by the way. You can't blame KJ for censoring you, though. You're talking about being hit with a baseball bat. Acid gave me visual snow. Shrooms gave me great insight. Yeah. Atheism is not a life worth living. People need morals. Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, hedonism and nihilism is not healthy. Yeah. No shrooms are evil. No, Jeff, shrooms are evil. Okay. I was like, no shrooms are evil. Wait, shrooms are evil? No, they're not evil. Yes, they are evil. Yeah. No. Shrooms can't be evil. Fungus is amazing. It's a really amazing stuff. I think all the amazing things that we have on this planet just blow your mind. If you can pull yourself away from your black mirrors and embrace and go out in nature, wow. It's just, nature always blows me away. Always. Insects I find fascinating. Birds, bees, like trees, plants, everything just makes me, amazed at how incredible our world is. So I don't believe taking a negative attitude towards things. Although I fully understand that people say, well, I don't agree with that. Just like I respectfully disagree when people say, oh, shrooms are a gateway to hell or demons and stuff like that. Well, maybe, but I'm not convinced. Right? I think they can be an enlightening experience, but they can also be a negative experience. And it's nothing I would ever promote, but it's something that if you do have the desire to experience, then yeah, maybe you want to do that at some point in time. I did it, I'm still here. Demons haven't got me yet. Pride is actually a sin, although we're taught otherwise, and humility is treated like a weakness when it's actually a great attribute. Yeah, I agree. Talk about bullying even as being an important part of development. People got to realize that having, you want to have some pride, but you don't want pride to be your most, you want to have pride in what you do, but to have pride in what you do, you have to be good at what you do. Right? So, but you don't want to be like, I'm the best. Like I talked about Charlemagne the God, on an earlier video I did breaking down that terrible hip-hop show. Trash, New World Order, freaking programming people into alcoholism. Charlemagne the God. Why would you call yourself that? Now, at the same time, I have a channel here called Supreme Lord Commander, but I don't go around calling myself Supreme Lord Commander. It's a joke, right? But yeah, having that type of pride in yourself is toxic. And it makes you egotistical, narcissist, and unlikable as a person. The best types of people are the types of people that are really good at something, but they act like they're just a normal person, right? Whenever you meet somebody that you're really impressed with, right? You meet somebody that could be an athlete, could be a world-class chess champion or a doctor or something, right? That you're impressed with what they do and how they carry themselves. If they're humble, you're even more impressed because you're like, that person's down to earth. That person's a real person. That person was so kind to me. That's. But if the person's egotistical, you're just like, that person's an ass, right? And it destroys their credibility because it makes them, it's all about them sort of thing. That's why I gave the example of Conor McGregor before as a bad example of a narcissist. He's an athlete and I'm the best, and and I could beat anybody and all this. That's not the way you should be. You say George St. Pierre is a better example
of how, say, a world-class mixed martial artist should carry themselves. Be humble and respectful towards others. You should, because you don't know who other people are, and a lot of other people would be amazed at what they can do. You may not know, and maybe what they do is not something that's super popular at the time and moment, but maybe they've got incredible attributes that are very impressive. That's all. Anyways. Like all the comments tonight. Really appreciate everybody.
Hope you're all having a good night. Maybe you got some bone broth going yourselves.
Missing a lot of comments here. Imagine a podcast with you, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan. Would you ever dream of what you would say to them live? Yeah, I'd call them out instantly. You guys are shells. I'd be all over them. Yeah, that's not going to happen, obviously. But if I was invited to do a show with those two jokers, I would do it just to have the opportunity to tell them off and put them in their place, sort of thing. But it would never happen. Joe Rogan knows about my show. He's talked about me, not directly, but he's talked about me before. Because if you ever caught Joe Rogan and he's talking about people on Twitter that called him out and that how he used to obsess over them and watch all their tweets and watch their videos, and it used to keep him up at night and stuff like that. Well, I was one of those people, undoubtedly. He blocked me years ago because I used to send him videos exposing him. And so I've heard him talk about that before. And I'm glad, because I wanted him to get that. I wanted to hurt him because he's hurting people. He's shilling. He's a bad person. I honestly believe Joe Rogan's a bad person. If Joe Rogan just did his MMA, I wouldn't have any problems with him. If he just did an MMA and he did a podcast where he just talked about bow hunting and MMA and stuff like that, I wouldn't have a problem with him. But he's a shill. And he's a terrible shill. And he's pushing New World Order, open borders, and all that crap. And he's just a bad person. That's all. And people make the deal. It's a lot of money. You're not going to have the world's most world's most popular podcast and not be a shill. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. They're never going to allow somebody like me to have millions of people listening on a weekly basis. I just burped. Jeff, you did Sykes in a bar? Oh yeah, I did them at concerts, bars, hockey games. What's the craziest place I did Sykes? I'm trying to think now. That's pretty much it. Did I ever? Yeah, did them in movie theaters. The best, though. That's why I say it's better to do it. Concerts, I can recall some concerts I went to that were mind blowing, and we did shrooms and stuff, and and they were incredible. So, but then you're young and you're in the moment and you're not thinking about anything and you're just taking in everything and you're just experiencing everything, and that's what it was all about, sort of thing. But would I consciously make the decision I'm going out at 8:00 tomorrow night, I'm gonna take shrooms at 7:30 and I'm gonna no, it's not the way you do it. Anyways, I digress. I like the part of the interview where he was lying, saying yep, there's no info on chemtrails or some other conspiracy. Either a direct lie or play a game of semantics. It's good to be somewhere safe with someone you trust. I did acid and shrooms in high school. I was way too young. Yeah, I agree with that. Absolutely. I have experienced demonic when out of my mind on shrooms. Even the devil appears as an angel of light. He roams around like a lion looking for someone to devour. But that's it. I mean, maybe it doesn't necessarily have to be shrooms to be in that state. And I do believe that people can be possessed by demons. I've mentioned that before. I actually believe this stuff. I can't prove it or anything like that. But maybe it wasn't a matter of the shrooms as much as it was a matter of being in such a weakened state that and that's what happens to people. Like that demons can possess people that are so broken down, so beaten down and broken down that they have lost their will, and then maybe if they take shrooms in that state, they're even worse and they're more susceptible. So yeah. But I appreciate you sharing that. Salt looks like sugar. Sure, maybe the term chemtrail doesn't yield any results, but swap that with stratospheric aerosol injection. Yeah, that's true. I get that. So that showed me Snow Job was really dishonest and deceptive and evasive. Yeah. LOL, my story was the only. Yeah, it's true. But you got to understand, KJ's a clean guy. He's not gonna. He's got a very clean audience, and he's so kind and all that. So that's why I wasn't surprised. But I did talk to him. He mentioned that, I think, in the show. So gave you a plug there. The trees talk to each other. I agree with that too. Hi, Patty. Yeah, I do. I think the trees do. I think plants, have a form of intelligence. I think trees have a form of intelligence, and trees do talk to each other and stuff like that. I think there's way more than we understand, vibrations and stuff like that. Anyways, I love trees. I love trees too. How can you not love trees? Imagine you met somebody you ever met somebody who says, I don't like music. Like, if you don't like music, I don't think I want to know you. My brother said that about honey. He's like, I don't like honey. I'm like, what's the matter with you? Are you freaking crazy? How could you not like honey? I mean, it's like, what? He's like, I don't like it. I'm like, what do you mean you don't like honey? What? I mean, that's madness. It's like, what? It's like the best. Well, it's one of the best sweets. I actually prefer maple syrup to honey. That's an interesting debate. I'm Canadian, though. I'm from Quebec, so we got maple syrup in our veins. Atheists on YouTube seem to be promoting drug use, porn. Yep, absolutely. Degeneracy and mocking women for wanting to be mothers and submissive wives. 100%. Excellent comment. Innovation. I'm going to cover those atheist scumbags. Those guys. I swear they got the rainbow and the man buns and the whole thing to go with it. They're just terrible people. I just look at their shows and I'm like, they're either full-on shills or they're, I suspect a lot of them are shills. Of a certain tribe, perhaps. Yeah. Jeff, what do you think of all this NWO lining up with biblical Bible prophecy? Yeah, that's interesting for sure. But I don't know Bible prophecy because I don't read the Bible. So call me ignorant, whatever. Again, the way I look at Christianity or the way I look at Jesus, because I look at Jesus and I say, well, I want to know what Jesus said. I don't want to know what people said that collected or 100 years or 200 years later put together and all that. Not to dismiss the Bible, because I think there's a lot of great knowledge and wisdom in the Bible. But then again, I'm not a Bible person. And no, I've never read the Bible. So I can't really give you an accurate sort of thing. But the fact that the Bible has, there's biblical prophecy manifesting, I wouldn't know. I really wouldn't. No, seriously, more than that, Jeff, for those who like cluster migraine headaches, it solves that problem for them. So it's like turning out to be really good natural medicine like cannabis. Yeah, that's cool. I agree. Maybe. I can't say. Let's see here. Supreme Lord Commander, have you had much luck getting friends and family in the real life to take the red pill? If so, what's your advice? I've had limited success. It's not easy. Yeah, teaspoons rather than, shovels. A little bit here, a little bit there. Goes a lot further than just trying to ram a whole lot through. Always remember that they're family first, family and friends first, and understand how much difficulty they have just in their own lives and try to understand their situation that they're in and the pressures that they deal with, and do not force your opinions upon them, and just show them and use the best examples. It's like, like I said, really graceful, for instance. She's like someone I can send her videos to anyone. Hey, check out this video. Nobody ever complains if I send a really graceful video. And that's what we need. A little sugar to go with it, right? With your spice, perhaps. Me, I'm a little bit more, I'm trying to be more and more restrained and diplomatic, if you will. But yeah, anyways. So hopefully that, Eric, answers that question. We are so vulnerable, gotta help each other. Yes, I guess that's why yeah, exactly, wants to destroy the family. Let's see here. Where am I? The Bible is the most accurate original form. It's amazing. It's a living book. The wisdom is infinite. Every time you read it, you will learn something new. Yeah, good, man. If it works for you, that's awesome. Doesn't mean it's going to work for everyone. Again, I haven't read the Bible, but I don't feel like I need that. I don't need any sort of spiritual awakening. I feel like I'm very spiritually awake. And you could say that probably about a lot of books, but then again, if it works for you, then by all means, and that's all I can say. Okay? I can't take it any further. It's everybody's gotta do what they feel is best. Legalized toplessness is a touchy subject. Getting a little nippy. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be against it as a heterosexual male, but at the same time, it is definitely more of this New World Order sort of conditioning. I think women's breasts are very sexual. It's not even me that has to think that. It's down below that thinks that. So, but then again, you could say in society, if you cover certain things up, they become more sexual. In historical society, like for Chinese, for instance, women's feet are extremely sexual. In Africa, it's been necks, for instance, women's necks. So, when you cover something up, but breasts are undeniably sexual because they mimic the buttocks of a woman, which means simply that you can show pictures of women's cleavage and pictures of women's butts, and they look almost identical. Now, a lot of people here be Christians. They won't be evolution. They won't believe in evolution. I'm not going to open that can of worms, but if you do follow evolution, then you would perhaps believe that women's breasts evolved in order, as we became bipedal, walking on 2 feet, that we were much more facing each other than, down on all fours. And therefore, the arousal of the buttocks became a frontal thing, because the only species of animal on Earth that has, inflated, it's inflated, it's the wrong term, that has I'm looking for the term, I'm losing my train of thought here, but the only species that has breasts that are like that, inflated, or are humans. So in all other species, mammals and stuff that have memories, none of them are like that. So the argument could be made, and this is the argument that they make in science, is that it's because when we became bipedal, we were facing each other, and women developed breasts, inflated breast, in order to attract men from a frontal position, so that the breast actually mimics the buttocks, and that's why breasts are sexual. And that's the real purpose, other than, of course, breastfeeding. But breastfeeding, you don't need to have that. Anyways, I know now I'm gonna piss off a lot of people. People are gonna, and in the Bible. Anyways, Jeff, find it interesting that you haven't read the Bible since you seem to understand so much about what is going on in the world. Do you perceive it's because parts of it are written on your heart? Yeah, sure, yeah. Thanks for that. I agree. Hopefully, I just hope that I see. I mean, does it matter? You know, like the truth. The truth is, in my opinion, it's not really subjective. It's objective. It can be subjective when it comes down to perspectives on things and, you know, tribes and, you know, differing sort of opinions, territorial disputes and stuff like that. But generally the truth is objective, not subjective. Did it rain last night, right? Kind of thing, right? Is it cloudy right now, right? Those are objective things that you can determine right at the moment, sort of thing. So the truth, in my opinion, is more or less objective, and it doesn't really matter what angle you're coming from. It's what is real. So it doesn't matter if you're coming from a religious perspective or a Christian perspective or a Muslim perspective or Judaism perspective or whatever perspective you might be coming from, atheist even, you can see that they were doing all this to humanity. So it doesn't hinge upon religion as being fact or something. You don't have to know a religion to understand what is going on. So I'm just being honest, though. I'm not going to lie to you about stuff. I never do. I just try to give you my honesty. I'm just trying to be honest here. Your videos are great for waking people up, Jeff. They are repetitive and somewhat detailed, and you really do catch all the propaganda and they're very practical. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Hypatia. Joshua says, did you see the Twitter DM about Netflix series called Weird City? Oh, yeah, I think so. That was a while back. Was it not, Joshua? I seem to recall. Was that the one with the trannies? It had like Laverne Cox, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just terrible. These people are terrible. It's just terrible. Hope you look into extra biblical text like these, like the journals of some people who are around Jesus. Yes, it's fascinating and has a lot to do with my own coming to Jesus. Please research how the Bible came. Thanks, Luna. I appreciate that. I love Jesus. You know, can't say anything bad about the dude. Gotta say, you know, the dude had it together, and there's nothing that I disagree. So, you know, I try to preach it every day, you know. So, King James Bible, the best-selling book of all time. Think about it. It goes against the grain in every way. I know. Yeah. Thanks, Twaddle. Isn't it convenient for them to convince you that you are a worthless piece of meat without a purpose in a limited space you can't explore? You can't all explore VS. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. It's it's one of the things that you could argue against Newtonian and Einstein sort of physics, and then the nature of the universe, right? Theory of relativity and all these things, because it makes us seem infinitely small, but it doesn't have to be that way. You know, you could look at it. You could look at it another way, that there's a huge universe and there's gazillions of planets, and you know that it's a matter of perspective, right? You don't need to look at it like, oh, they're making us feel like we're nothing. I don't look at it that way, you know, and I don't see the point to berate and belittle and you know, just degenerate, or what's the word I'm looking for, to be, you know, super critical of human race and the human species. I don't look at the human species that way. I look at it differently. Like, I really do. Like, it's like I live in a city that's like 4.5 million people, and it's like Nobody's killing. There's no bombs in the air. You can walk down the street. Parks are beautiful. People are living more or less in harmony. That's pretty amazing. You can look at it like there are tens of millions or hundreds of millions of Americans. And yeah, there's some shootings and there's some people dying and there's some sadness, but most of all, people are living their lives. And the fact that we all are living our lives more or less, and I mean, it's getting worse because of the way the New World Order is going, but the way that you can look at it is like, it's pretty amazing that we're able to do this and that the world isn't apocalyptic and it's actually quite beautiful. Humans haven't destroyed the planet. They want you to think that, but we haven't. In many ways, we've made the planet more beautiful. Look at all our wonderful buildings, our theaters, right? Our bridges, our the things that we've created, the architecture in our cities, things like the pyramids, the Eiffel Tower, there's just so many examples. You look around the world, Taj Mahal, things like that. There's a lot of beautiful things that humans have done. We're not a terrible species. We don't need to hate ourselves. We don't need to look at ourselves like we're a plague or we're destroying the planet. We live in harmony with the planet. We do. And they want us to think that we don't. And this is what's evil. It's like that we're some cancer, and we're not a cancer on the world. In fact, we work in harmony with it. We'll get better with it. And I do agree with some of those things. Like, I do agree with some of what Agenda 21 is about. Sustainable development, right? Like, don't necessarily disagree with that at its core, in the sense that it's like we got to live in harmony with our planet. I do agree with that. But we have to be honest with everyone. We can't be manipulating people. We have to be honest about everything. And then if we're honest about things, then we can all be part of the solutions. But to lie to people and to make it seem like we are all part of the problem and that we all need to be depopulated, which is what this is, the really dark side of Agenda 21, that I cannot sit by idly and allow. I have to be critical because it's evil. It's disingenuous. So that's the way I look at those things. Anyways. Bible study with JeffC and friends. Don't think so. That's not me, though. That's, you go to KJ, go to Enter the Stars, go to other people that are much more into that, much more knowledgeable. I'm not of that. But we can all kind of see eye to eye on some things, for sure. Truth is always objective, yeah. Actually, all of our memories are imprinted in every part of our DNA, not our brain, where people once thought. I don't know. Also, what is this about porn lately? I do not watch, but it's a meme now that is all of it's incestuous. How is that real life? Why, Jeff? Well, it's our controllers. Our controllers want us to engage in debauchery because it weakens us. That's why. If we can program people into the LGBTQXYZ, more and more people, then it's easy to control because those people are obsessed with the self. They have been taken away from communities and from families, and they have been programmed into self, narcissism, nihilism, all these things. So porn is a weapon to deconstruct the family. It's to deconstruct relationships, program people into polyamory, which is unsustainable. Ironically, it's completely unsustainable. I've never known. I don't think there's a history of any polyamorous relationship that ever lasted. I don't recall. I don't think there's ever been that, like a trio or what do you call a 4, 5, 6 people that have had sexual relationships for a life and have built a life together that could last. It's unsustainable. It doesn't make any sense. It's evil. And I mean, I'm not against it if you want to live that way. I'm just saying that that's our programming. Don't know about you guys.
us. No, I'm passionate because I'm disgusted with what they do to us. Yes, Wade, totally agree. Two classes of statements, contingent and tautological. Contingent truth is only partially true, while tautological is always true. Yeah. Elon Musk equals lone scum. 19 guys, Elon Musk is soulless. You know, Elon Musk said one thing, though, that I kind of agree with, which is the we have to have babies, you know? Like, he's like, and then they erased it. I know people have found it, so I really appreciate people finding that for me, because I was like, I was confounded. I couldn't find it anywhere. I was like looking. Elon Musk, people must have babies. People must breed. White people must breed. Elon Musk. I looked everywhere. And of course, Google is like scrubbed it. But it has been found. So I'll try to upload that again. Speaking of that, I'm about to drop some JQ history of all of this. Have you heard about the Sabbateans and the 1666? That's where the infiltration started. I'm uploading in a few minutes. Yeah, the Frankish Sabbateans is a big thing.
You know, watch out when you talk about the tribe.
Said best by St. Augustine, the truth is like a lion. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It doesn't need to be defended. Let it out and it'll defend itself. Yeah, I agree with that. I get that, but I'm really shocked that it's so prevalent and popular. Stepmoms, sons, etc. Yeah. If you look throughout history, you see the people that died so that you would be able to read the Bible in your own language. Just shows you how important it is. Yeah. I mean, I you know, anything that promotes family and, you know, community and people coming together, I can't be against. You know, it's like the teachings of Jesus. I can't be against that. How can you be against that? You have to be a psycho to be against it, right? But the psychos around the world, so. Damn, I missed the majority of the live stream. I hope you get your tinfoil hat on there, cat. Yeah, I want to take your daughter's hand. You want to marry her? No, I wanted her hand. Supreme Lord Commander, opinion on the Devil May Cry video game. Haven't ever played it. I'm familiar with it. Just a name, Devil May Cry. Everything's devilish these days, though, with the video games. It's just like the devil is ubiquitous, unfortunately. But they also like to have the duality, the two sides, the devil and God, the angel and the fallen angel, and they do this everywhere, right? Not familiar. Devil May Cry, I'm not sure what that one's about, but I've heard of it. I know it's a big game, so. I'm glad we are here together. Yes, the world is actually beautiful despite the fact that the nightmare blankets it. Human beings are amazing. Yeah, great comment there. Totally agree. We don't need to look at the world as being awful and evil. Most people aren't. I think most people are good. But I think that people to be good need to be in a good situation. When people are stressed or in bad situations, then that can bring out the best and worst in people. So if people are economically depressed, then bad things will happen, right? Like you can say, for instance, the Bolshevik Revolution, the Weimar Republic in Germany, and, you know, Pol Pot, Khmer Rouge. You know, you can give historical examples. You don't have to go back very far. And bad times bring out the best and worst in people, but often the worst in people. Because when people are struggling to eat, put food on the table, then they'll get desperate and they'll go extreme. So it's very important to maintain balance and order. Balance, right? That we don't have extreme sort of situations where people, but then again, you know, yeah. So, Colonel Michael Aquino has held satanic ceremonies in a German castle used by Himmler in the SS. I wouldn't be surprised. You ever seen Colonel Michael Aquino's eyebrows? That's all you got to see. You see a picture of him, you're like, oh yeah, Satanist. Yeah. Yeah. Himmler was big into the cult. Yeah, of course.
they were. They were all into the Black Sun and all that. The Nazis, very very occultic, huge. Western civilization and all values that the New World Order are trying to wipe out exist because people took the Bible and applied it to, like, well, that's the whole thing. That's why I always stand up for Christianity. And I say, you know what? We civilize most of the world. Can't be all bad. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, there's dogmatism. There's, there's just the bureaucracy and theology and all that. And there's hierarchies and bloodlines and nepotism and all these other things that are nasty, but there's also good with it because you're preaching certain values, family and community, caring for the poor and stuff like that. You have to keep, this is the whole thing though. They like to pretend they're being hermeticists, right? But like you do have to care for the worst elements in your society, or the most poor elements in your society. Otherwise it comes back to bite you, right? So it's important for all of us to not neglect those who have much less. So I'm like one of these people that I support homeless people, for instance. I don't really, I'll give out money and stuff like that because I believe you got to help these people. But our controllers just divide and conquer us in every way, shape, and form. And they don't want us to come together. They want us to come apart. And that's why they pit men against women, and they pit children against their parents, and parents against their children, and generation against generation, and the LGBT against heterosexuals, and just every element of society, left, right, divide and conquer. That's what they do. They divide us apart. And that's why coming together is a better philosophy. And that's exactly what the Bible and others preach. JeffC, have you ever heard about William Cooper? Of course. He was murdered in front of his house in early 1990s. No, he was murdered after 9/11, actually. About 2 weeks after 9/11, because he had accurately predicted that the attack was going to happen. And, he was murdered. I don't know. It was the feds or whatever got to him. Where are we here? Trying to force the Bible on anyone won't work, especially through guilt. Never. Yeah, I agree. You don't force stuff on people. Satan equals the pyramid. Domination of man over nature. Yeah. Who runs the U.S. military? It's something, eh? It's crazy. Anyways, I'm gonna close her up. I gotta I gotta shut her down now. Thank you all so much for taking the time to listen to this. I really appreciate all the questions. I hope I got to as many as possible. It kind of worked out okay though. It's like I didn't get to do the gaming stream because technical snafus, but I figured, well, it's a good opportunity to come in since I was going to put the night aside to come in and do a Q&A. I haven't done one of these in a long time. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed chatting with y'all. Hopefully y'all are subbed to the channel. Maybe some of y'all can come and support me on Patreon. That would be great. And if I didn't get to your question, I apologize. I try to get to everyone's questions. Chat kind of moves fast sometimes. And I try to be as thorough as possible in my answers. Anyways, thanks so much everyone for taking the time to listen to this. I really hope you enjoyed the discussion. Thanks Tears, thanks Hypatia, Ashton, Luna, Innovation, P Dubs, I Go Dreamer. Hey, there's Camille. Please stop the ride. Nice to see you, Mikey. World Peace. Your TV Unplugged. I Go. Everyone. Thank you all so much for coming by. I really appreciate the support and the discussion. It was a lot of fun doing this. And I'll try to do one of these, maybe every month or so if I can. We'll see. I can do as much as I can. But, hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to be doing a video. I got one I want to do on vaccinations. I still have a lot of research to do on it, so I got a big one coming with that. And several others coming down the pipe. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subbed to my other channels just to keep up with everything. And have a great night, folks. All the best. Much love. God bless.